want to have plenty of bottled water on hand. And don't forget about hygiene and first aid supplies.
That's a good point.
Foster's has a great emergency kit checklist online. Just go to fosters.ky or look out for the helpful signs when shopping in store. Foster's, better because we care.
Prevention is key. Is your heart at risk? During the month of June, Baptist Health International is offering special pricing for cardiac CT scan for calcium scoring for just 99 CI to patients at high risk for heart disease, the leading cause of deaths worldwide. You are a candidate if you are 40 to 65 years old and have any of the following risk factors: obesity, current or recent smoker, family history of heart disease, high cholesterol, high blood pressure, or diabetes. To request an appointment or for more information, call 749-3304 or visit baptisthealth.ky.
For the Record, proudly brought to you by
Coca-Cola, available across the Cayman Islands from Tortuga Distributors. Accept no substitutes. Taste the feeling with Coca-Cola. Brand Source Home Gallery, inspiring luxury. West Bay Pharmacy, taking care of your health. And JN Money.
From abroad to yard.
Fast, affordable, convenient. Doctor's Hospital. Peace of mind is important when life happens. Doctor's Hospital. Always there for you. Call 949-6066. And by the STEPS 2023 National Health Survey. Visit gov.ky/steps to learn more. And Cayman Airways. Call them on 949-2311 to book your nonstop flights to Los Angeles and Panama.
This is For the Record with Orrett Connor.
Coming to you live from Radio Cayman Studio.
For the Record.
For the Record. For the Record. Hear from your government officials, independents, and the opposition on issues that matter to you. For the Record. Engage in an open dialogue between residents and lawmakers.
For the Record.
For the Record. For the Record. Informative, impartial, insightful.
This is your talk show.
1-800-534-8255. Your calls, your input. This is For the Record. And now, your host, Orrett Connor.
Good morning, good morning, good morning. O land of soft, fresh breezes and verdant trees, so fair. Today is Friday, the 16th day of June 2023, right here in the beautiful Cayman Islands. We do hope and we trust that everyone had a restful, peaceful, enjoyable evening. Those of you who are on the roads of the Cayman Islands, whether you're a pedestrian or a cyclist, or if you're operating in a type of motorized vehicle, we urge you to please, please, please be extremely cautious. Ensure that you observe the rules of the road. Remember, the life you save may be your own. You may see some reduction in traffic this morning, quite possibly. Long holiday weekend, so I'm sure that some people are taking advantage of that and taking off early. We deserve all of that as well. I'm not sure whether or not the Cayman Islands is getting like Bermuda. When I was over in Bermuda and secondment several years ago, Bermudans talk about the fact that whenever there is a holiday, everyone is really rushing to get off the island because they feel so compressed within the island. Of course, Bermuda geographically is much smaller than the Cayman Islands, and at that time their population was probably somewhere in the 65,000 range. So I'm not sure whether or not people in the Cayman Islands are starting to feel the squeeze now that we're up to over 80,000 persons. Our population is over 80,000 at this point in time as well, and whether or not persons are feeling that squeeze to get off the island, even though there's so many things that we can do here on our island as well. So you may see some reduction in traffic today and over the weekend as well because of the long holiday weekend. So for those of you who are celebrating a birthday today, we want to wish you a happy birthday, or if you celebrated one over the past few days, and to remind you that For the Record, birthday shout-outs are proudly brought to you by More Than Words, your gateway to local books and more. Connect to your culture, tap into your roots. More Than Words, located on the second floor of the Thompson Building. I'm going to abbreviate my opening remarks this morning because we do have guests in the studio and we want to cover as much as possible. Just to go over the birthdays, we see where Miss Reba Dilbert celebrated her birthday yesterday. Dwayne John also celebrated a birthday yesterday. Upcoming birthdays, Sandra Kent will celebrate a birthday on Sunday, June the 18th. Michelle Ebanks will also celebrate a birthday on Sunday, June the 18th. Belinda Watson also, and Jude Eastman. They're celebrating birthdays as well. And if you know someone who's celebrating a birthday or who has celebrated one, we invite you to send that information to us, and we will share it during the course of the show as well. Those of you who have lost loved ones, we want to extend our sincere condolences to you. We hope and we trust that your faith will help to carry you through these extremely challenging times, and that the memories of your loved ones will be a blessing as well. Those of you who are ill and are either at home or at a medical facility here in the Cayman Islands or overseas, we wish you a speedy recovery. So with that, we're going to go right into our discussion. And of course, the Lands and Survey Department continue to celebrate their 50th anniversary. And they have some promotions going on, as well as some town hall meetings. And we know sometimes the difficulty in the Cayman Islands now with the town hall meetings, getting people out. But they continue with the program, and they have one coming up next. I won't tell you when. We do have representatives in the studio, and they will do all of the talking for me this morning. So it is my pleasure to have in the studio again with us Miss Sophia Williams from the Department of Lands and Survey. And also, it is my pleasure to welcome into the studio recently appointed Deputy Registrar of Lands, Miss Regina Ebanks. Ladies, good morning. Welcome to For the Record.
Thank you very much. Yeah.
Okay, Miss Sophia, I'm going to ask you to, do the introductory remarks, and then we're going to go over to Miss Regina Ebanks, and we want to hear from her, talk about her journey in the civil service to the point where she's at now as being recently appointed as Deputy Registrar of Lands.
Great, thank you. Thank you so much for having us again. As you indicated earlier, we're continuing the celebration of our 50th anniversary. And at this point, we thought what a more fitting occasion than to announce the appointment of Miss Regina Ebanks as Deputy Registrar, which took effect this year. And so we're having her on the program today for various reasons. We want to encourage persons to see, as the Deputy Governor often says, that the civil service is a choice, the best choice for our employers. And we wanted to also showcase to our young listeners in particular what opportunities that will exist if you join, in particular, the Lands and Survey Department. There are lots of journeys. We have been out in the schools, encouraging persons to join the department and telling them, of course, what are the qualifications required. Miss Regina has been with the department for the past 17 years, and really it's been a part of our succession plan. So I'm not going to steal any of her thunder, right? So I'm going to let her talk about her journey up to this point. But again, it's an appointment that the department is particularly proud of. As you know, we've had Darren on recently, who was appointed Chief Surveyor. So this is another success story coming out of the Lands and Survey Department.
Excellent. Paul, what we're going to do, if you're ready, we're going to take the commercial break early so that we won't have to interrupt Ms. Ebanks when she starts her presentation as well. Folks, we're going to take an early commercial break. Please stay tuned. For the record, we'll be back shortly.
The Cayman Islands boasts of a long, colorful, and rich history. In tribute to our roots, Radio Cayman, the voice of the Cayman Islands, is pleased to bring you the Historical Vignette Series. Brought to you by Rotary Central. For more than 110 years, Rotary members have used their passion, energy, and intelligence to take action on sustainable projects. The Cayman Islands, He hath founded it upon the seas.
Olivine Louise Barnett. Olivine Barnett Nipari has lived an exemplary life and is a great example of humility. In her 20s and during the World War II years, she served as a youth missionary to Jamaica for 9 years. She returned to Grand Cayman and continued her work in the Wesleyan Holiness Church, formerly Pilgrim Holiness in West Bay. She is known throughout the Cayman Islands for playing the mandolin, reciting poetry, and singing. She has made a great contribution to the memory bank of the Cayman Islands National Archive, where her narrative has been transcribed. She and her husband, William Osborne Barnett Jr., had 6 children.
Radio Cayman's Historical Vignettes was brought to you by Rotary Central. For more than 110 years, Rotary members have used their passion, energy, and intelligence to take action on sustainable projects.
Since 1993, Rotary Central has worked diligently each year to provide quality bus shelters to our community. A traveling convenience to our school children, the elderly, young people going to work, guest workers, and visitors using the public bus. We, Rotary Central, help you, our advertisers, make it happen. Your marketing dollar travels a far way. Positioning your message, your product, your services, your presence in over 83 bus shelters. Every dollar you spend, every advert you place helps to build another bus shelter, providing modest comfort for Cayman travelers. Reserve space now on the only billboard medium in the Cayman Islands. Email rotaryshelters@gmail.com. rotaryshelters@gmail.com. The Bus Shelters, a partner in community convenience. Another inspiration program by Rotary Central Cayman Islands.
At Doctors Hospital, we know life happens, and usually when you least expect it. So when unexpected medical issues arise, you need quality care close to home. Located in the heart of Georgetown, our accomplished team of physicians and medical staff treat minor urgent conditions such as migraines, chest and abdominal pain, shortness of breath, burns, broken bones, open wounds, and more. 24 hours, 7 days a week with no appointment necessary. Peace of mind is important when life happens. At Doctors Hospital, we're always here just for you. Need to speak to someone? Call 949-6066.
Honda vehicle owners, I hope you are aware that there is an urgent safety recall regarding faulty Takata airbags in Honda vehicles here in the Cayman Islands. As affected vehicles get older, a combination of high temperatures and humidity can affect the airbags, with the faults placing you and your family at potential risk. So Car City is currently replacing any defective airbags free of charge. To check whether your vehicle is affected, you can go to carcity.ky/recalls. And if your vehicle is not affected, you will require a letter from Car City stating so for your next vehicle licensing inspection. Without this, your vehicle will not pass. Please contact the Car City service team to arrange this by calling 949-5525 or go to carcity.ky/recalls. So the safety of you and your family is important to Car City. So please take the time to check if your vehicle is affected by this urgent Honda safety recall.
She hear clunk and her car stop. I was just about to send her some money, so I send it straight to her JN money transfer card. It cost me less, and perhaps she use the card, pay the garage right away. She'll get discount through the JN Rewards program in Jamaica. This card make things easy. You can even get funds at any multi-link ATM.
JN Money Transfer Card. Fast, affordable, convenient. Tell your loved ones in Jamaica about it. Sign up is free.
Have you been chosen to participate in the STEPS 2023 National Health Survey? Remember, if you have been chosen to participate, we cannot replace you with someone else. The survey is random and limited to 3,300 individuals across all 3 islands. Your participation is essential to the success of this important endeavor and will help shape Cayman's health services for years to come. Learn more by logging on to www.gov.ky/steps.
Your dream home starts with a vision, and often inspiration is at the heart of that vision. Brand Source Home Gallery's in-house designers are here to help bring your vision to life. Whether you're remodeling or building a new home, Brand Source Home Gallery is your one-stop solution. Explore their kitchen cabinets, sinks, faucets, bath fixtures, tubs, vanities, and more. Let Brand Source's designers help and inspire you with your next project. Call 623-5000 and schedule an appointment with a design expert at Brand Source Home Gallery, Dorsey Drive, Industrial Park, serving Cayman for 50 years.
More Than Words, your gateway to local books and more. Connect to your culture. Tap into your roots. More Than Words bookstore in the Thompson Building. Supplies local books, gifts, trinkets, keepsakes, wall plaques, and journals. The hub for local authors. More Than Words. So much more. More Than Words is now open. Shop number 4, 2nd floor, Thompson Building. Or call 936-5544.
System 1 loaded.
1-800-534-8255. What is on your mind when it comes to the government, independence, and the opposition? Issues that matter to you. 1-800-534-8255. Waiting to hear from you. For the Record.
This is For the Record with Orrett Connor.
Good morning and welcome back to For the Record. It is my pleasure to have in the studio with me this morning 2 ladies who are representing the Department of Lands and Survey here in the Cayman Islands, in the person of Miss Sophia Williams and newly appointed Deputy Registrar of Lands and Survey, Miss Regina Ebanks. And we're going to have Miss Regina Ebanks. First of all, congratulations. And I want you to tell our listening and viewing audience about your journey in the civil service. Ms. Williams has indicated that you've been with the department for 17 years. Marriages don't last that long these days. So tell us about your journey.
First of all, thank you for having me in studio for the first time. It's truly just an honor and a humbling experience to carry the title of Deputy Registrar to even start with. Like Ms. Williams indicated, I have been with the department for 17 years. And that was right out of high school. And like any other high school student, right, when they finish, they're just hoping to find employment anywhere, really. It's just such an honor to serve my people in that way. Lands and Survey took me in, and it just really became my home. After a while, I thought, yeah, I'm doing a good job. But then I decided to truly invest myself into building a career within the government. The civil service was extremely excited to give me the opportunity to go out and further my education in fields that were related to lands and survey. So I did my bachelor's of law here, and the department funded those. They also funded other legal certifications that I needed for the post now that I have. And our in-house leadership, like Ms. Williams, Mr. Obi as well, it's just truly great to work alongside them. I also want to mention our Deputy Governor and ACO Welcome. Again, 2 excellent leaders that share our department's vision that young Caymanians need to be educated, trained, and given the opportunity to grow within CIG. Thanks to Director Obi and Ms. Williams, I have had in-house training as well in surveying, in stratas, so just really a wide variety of training has been afforded to me during the time that I've been there. Particularly after I finished my education, they've ensured that they've kind of taken me under their wing and given me everything that I needed so that I feel the support from the department. I want to mention Darren is our new chief surveyor as well. Yes. He's also been so supportive, and I'm extremely proud to see him in his new role. It's truly a privilege, and I appreciate the confidence that they've had in me thus far.
Okay. So, Ms. Williams, we've seen in the past, and, I've been around long enough where I've seen persons work within the Lands and Survey Department, and eventually some attraction in the private sector has pulled them away from there. How do we go about retaining the talent that you have developed, like Missy Banks, in the department, and as well as attracting more young Caymanians to be involved in such a challenging field?
So I'll take retaining the first. So 2 questions. So one of the strengths in our corporate plan is that we really do believe in investing in our people. And we're government, and so we have certain restraints in terms of salaries, so we can't compete against the private sector. But what we can do, and what we have noted in terms of any great corporation, is that you can treat your people right. So what you do is you treat your people right, you invest in them, and they will never leave you. And so I can attest to the fact that Lands and Survey Department has made such great strides over the years, even since I've joined. We have done a lot of investments apart from Regina. We've had one other staff member who also was funded to do her law degree. We have other staff members who have been funded to do paralegal training as well. And apart from the formal training, we do a lot of training in other areas of leadership. We give them a lot of flexibility in terms of flexible work arrangements. And it's really just a great place to be. So it's not just coming to work. It's not just about the pay. It's about developing your skills. It's about making you the best you can be in the workplace. And I think that's one of the things that I'm really very proud about Lands and Survey. So we are really focused on trying to retain our staff. In terms of attracting persons to our department, as I've said, we've been out to the schools. We've prepared certain flyers telling persons what are the requirements to work at Lands and Survey, because Lands and Survey tend to be a very technical field. So we employ very technical persons, whether they're in geographic information systems, the Lands and Survey Department, which is a legal department, and the valuation, which do the chartered surveying. So we are going out, we're trying to get the students very early from school to encourage them to say these are the opportunities that exist, not only at Lands and Survey, but within the wider civil service as well.
Off air, we spoke a little bit about some of the challenges in terms of land surveying. We see the amount of growth that has taken place in the Cayman Islands. I recall one taxi driver, I think it was, said that they were driving some tourists around, and they said, "Is the whole island for sale or what?" Everywhere we turn, we see a for sale sign. So we know that the activity is there, and irrespective of what you feel about land ownership in the Cayman Islands, we have to recognize and acknowledge the fact that it is happening. So it is a growing field. It's something that the need will continue to be there for land surveyors, land valuators, whatever. But you've also mentioned, some of the challenges, because it may not be a glamorous job for some persons who are looking for that.
Particularly land surveying. It's a field that most countries, I think every country is struggling to find land surveyors, and the Cayman Islands is no exceptions. So what we have decided to do as well is that the Lands and Survey Department have some trainee positions that we have offered to young Caymanians, particularly straight out of high school with certain qualifications, that we want you to come on, be with us, stay to see if this is something that you want to see, and then they are committed also to giving you the opportunity to get your bachelor's. Of course, there's no such program on Ireland, so it has to be off Ireland.
Okay.
We are committed to do your bachelor's and return to be also return for further training. No, and I go in and I'll explain to persons the land surveying profession is particularly difficult. They're working through sun, they're working through rain, they're walking through swamps, they're walking through very difficult terrain, and also they're dealing with neighbors who may not, or with persons who may not really particularly want to see them at that point in time. So it's a very challenging field. You know, they're up sometimes at 4 a.m. Doing beat surveys. So it's not a very glamorous profession. But what we have decided to do is that but it's a very, I think it underpins, you're quite right, it underpins this whole economy. And persons, when you're doing investments, you know, most persons or most businesses look for collateral, and that is what the land gives you, great investment.
Yes.
And it's a chance for persons to gain upward mobility. So, and that is underpinned by the land surveyor by providing certainty. So a mortgage company will lend you money with certainty to do whether investment in education, an investment in your business, an investment in yourself. So it really is also a very rewarding profession. So we do encourage persons. There are opportunities that exist both in Grand Cayman and in Cayman Brac, actually.
Okay, now we still have about 2 minutes before, or 1 minute before we go to the news. So what I'll do is I'll let our listening and viewing audience know that Miss Ebanks and Miss Williams, they're going to remain. They're going to be with us after the 8 o'clock news, which will end around about 8:15 or so, Paul, right? Around about 8:15. We will have Dr. Steve McFeel and Miss Theresa Pitcairn in the studio later on as well. You're going to have an open line then for you to call in. We will be talking, you know, about some things specifically as well. But when we return from the news, we're going to talk about the ongoing celebrations for the 50th anniversary. We're going to talk about the rectification fees, the removal of those. We're going to ask Ms. Williams and Ms. Ebanks to share with us the results of that so far, what has taken place, how persons been taking advantage of that opportunity, and also talk about the importance of having correct records, important to the department, important to the individual or their families, you know, whenever they pass on as well. And of course, we'll talk about the upcoming town hall meeting that is taking place in one of the fastest growing areas in the Cayman Islands. That in itself should prompt persons to want to come out to that meeting, because their district, where such tremendous amount of growth is taking place, that is where that meeting will be held. So folks, don't change that dial. Please stay tuned. For the record, with Miss Sophia Williams and Miss Regina Ebanks will continue after the 8 o'clock news.
Radio Cayman time check now, 8 a.m. This time check brought to you by our friends at Foster's.
Hey, have you started preparing for hurricane season yet?
Not yet. I'm not sure where to start.
Well, making a grocery shopping list is a good place to begin. You'll want to stock up on non-perishable food items like canned goods, peanut butter, and crackers.
What about water?
Definitely. You'll want to have plenty of bottled water on hand. And don't forget about hygiene and first aid supplies.
That's a good point.
Foster's has a great emergency kit checklist online. Just go to fosters.ky or look out for the helpful signs when shopping in store. Foster's. Better because we care.
The voice of the Cayman Islands.
89.9 FM in Grand Cayman and 93.9 FM in Cayman Brac and Little Cayman.
Silver wings shining in the sunlight.
Radio Cayman.
The 8 a.m. news is brought to you by ValueMed Pharmacy. Save time and order your prescription refills online at value-medpharmacy.com. VALU-medpharmacy.com.
For today's biggest news.
Radio Cayman, the voice of the Cayman Islands.
With your latest news, I'm Carsley Fuller. It's not really a big surprise. Cayman's inflation rate spikes in the first quarter. The Economics and Statistics Office's Consumer Price Index report for January to March shows that first quarter inflation was 6.6%. Among the main contributors was a 12% increase in food and non-alcoholic beverages. The main contributors to this was a 50% rise in the price for tea, coffee, and cocoa, a 31% spike in the average price for milk, cheese, and eggs, and a more than 16% upward movement in the price for sugar confectionaries, and snacks. The report says there was also an 11% increase in household equipment, 8.1% in restaurants and hotels, and a more than 7% spike in housing and utilities. There were also increases of nearly 7% in clothing and footwear, as well as a more than 5% increase in the costs of recreation and culture. The ESO says the 7.6% increase in the housing and utilities index was largely a result of a more than 37% rise in the index for water supply. The index for electricity spiked by 22%. Actual rentals paid by tenants rose by 6.2%, and imputed rentals for owner-occupiers, which went up by 0.7%, also contributed to the increase. A comparison with the first quarter of this year with the fourth quarter of 2020 shows that the consumer price index rose by more than 2%, as the index for household equipment went up by 4.8%, housing and utilities by more than 3%, transport by almost 3%, and alcoholic beverages and tobacco by 2.7%. You can find the full report online at eso.ky. The Cayman Islands Pension Administrators Association this week asked for more engagement with government. This as MPs approved a private member's motion that asked government to consider allowing people in the private sector to take funds out of their pension funds for mortgage relief. Radio Cayman's April Cummings spoke with two representatives of the association who say it's a complex issue and one that requires all the players to have a seat at the table.
In the scheme of things, Cayman's private sector pension scheme is relatively new, only a few decades old. It has a cap on mandatory contribution amounts, and some of us have already dipped into the fund, whether it was to purchase a home as a first-time buyer or as part of the post-COVID spending stimulus. The administrators have been concerned that we already aren't contributing enough for our future selves. Now, at the thought it may happen again, they're asking for dialogue with decision makers.
I think as the association, which is comprised of the 7 multi-employer pension providers on the island, it's important that we get out to the public, out to our members, that we're aware of what's happening, and we want to work closely with government, the Department of Labor and Pensions, etc., to see what we can do to resolve the current trend.
Randy Fisher is the chair of the CIPAA. Alice Ramos is deputy chair. She says pension administrators see the struggle for their members, who at times have to choose between mortgage payments and utility bills. But they are also very concerned about what happens in the future.
There are going to be issues in the next 20, 30 years when our population is retiring. Pension plans are going to be much lower. So, it is going to be a difficult problem to solve, I would say, for the Cayman Islands government as well as for us as people.
And the more hands on deck to help, the better. That's why CIPAA says it is critical they're involved in the discussion for the sake of our future selves. April Cummings, Radio Cayman News.
Now with a check of international news, here's the BBC, which will take us out of the newscast. I'm Karsley Fuller from Radio Cayman's newsroom.
BBC News with Danielle Yałowiecka. The Greek authorities are coming under pressure to explain how a migrant boat, believed to be carrying more than 700 people, sank on Wednesday. Officials have denied an allegation that the vessel capsized after Coast Guards attached a rope to it. The Ukrainian military says Kyiv has come under a missile attack as a delegation of African leaders visits the country to promote dialogue to end the war with Russia. The Air Force says it shot down more than a dozen projectiles, including hypersonic missiles. Ukraine's foreign minister said the message to Africa was clear: Russia wants war, not peace. Japan's parliament has passed 2 key pieces of legislation on rape and gay rights after campaigns to overhaul laws seen as outdated and socially conservative. Legislators have redefined rape to better protect victims. The meaning has been broadened from forcible to non-consensual sex. BBC News.
The 8 a.m. news is brought to you by ValueMed Pharmacy. Save time and order your prescription refills online at value-medpharmacy.com. VALU-medpharmacy.com.
Now, more than ever, supporting your immune system is crucial to helping your body fight off illnesses like the common cold, the flu, and COVID-19. At ValueMed Pharmacy on Walkers Road and in Buttontown, we carry all the essential vitamins and minerals to help support your immune system and improve your overall health. Some of our top immunity support picks are vitamin C, vitamin D, zinc, elderberry, and quercetin, or the popular 7-in-1 immunity support. Our pharmacists are always on hand to help guide you and answer any questions. Visit ValueMed Pharmacy on Walkers Road or Buttontown. Live happy, live healthy with ValueMed Pharmacy.
Stay in touch with Radio Cayman with the latest up-to-date, accurate news and information. For your convenience, the headline news will be repeated on our sister station, Breeze 105.3 FM, weekdays at 8:30 a.m. Follow Radio Cayman on social media, Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, or download the Radio Cayman app in the App Store or log on to www.radiocayman.gov.ky and stay connected to what's happening in the community. Radio Cayman, your voice, your choice, your radio.
Tune in every Monday through Friday at 12 p.m. for Radio Cayman's Midday Newscast. Radio Cayman, the People's Station, your trusted official source for the latest news. The 12 p.m. news is proudly brought to you by Health City Cayman Islands. World-class healthcare within your reach.
The 22nd Annual Talent Exposition of the Arts, Humility, is here. Presented by the New Self-Help Foundation, Sunday, June 25th at the Hartwell Theater. Awesome performances by Rico Rolando.
Yeah, she twerking off a band and I'm about to make a dance, yeah.
Dream Chasers, Radiance Dance Studio, UCCI Dancers, Centerpoint Dance Studio, Sparks School of Performing Arts, Dan Ebanks, and more. Hosted by Anika Connolly and Lloyd Barker. Part of the proceeds from the Talent Exposition go to support the training program of the arts. Tickets available from Number One Shoe Shop and Winner's Circle Sports. Prepaid $15 or $20 at the gate. The 2023 Talent Exposition of the Arts, Humility, Sunday, June 25th at the Hartwell Theater. Gates open at 5 p.m. Show starts at 6 p.m. Get your tickets today.
On Monday, 19th June, we celebrate the King's birthday with 2 time-honored events. First, our uniformed services and clubs will participate in the King's Birthday Parade at 9 a.m. in front of Government House. Later, there will be the customary garden party on the Government House lawn at 4 p.m. Be sure to wear your best outdoor elegant attire, no shorts or flip-flops. Join us as we honor our new King.
The 8:12 a.m. weather report brought to you by CG Britcay, where people come first. All right, morning, my friends. Let's take a look at your latest weather. Brought to you by our friends at CG Britcay. It's kind of partly cloudy on the outside, mostly sunny. Present temperature 85 degrees Fahrenheit, but with the summer solstice approaching, the real feel out there is like 97 degrees Fahrenheit. Winds are out of the east at 9 miles per hour, relative humidity 79%. Last night's low was at 83. Barometric pressure is at 29.94 inches and dropping. Moderate winds and seas are expected across the Cayman Islands over the next 24 hours as a high-pressure system builds over the western Atlantic Ocean. So our forecast for today calls for mainly sunny skies with a 20% chance of the afternoon shower. Temperatures will rise to the upper 80s with a heat index of 100 degrees Fahrenheit. Winds will be east to southeast at 10 to 15 knots. Seas will be moderate with wave heights of 3 to 5 feet. Later on this evening, partly cloudy skies with a 30% chance of late-night showers and possible thunder. Temperatures will fall to the upper 70s. Winds will be east to southeast at 10 to 15 knots. Seas will be moderate with wave heights of 3 to 5 feet. We are now in a high tide, which came in at 8:04. It's going to be low at 2:43 this afternoon and high at 9:37 tonight. For tomorrow, low tide is at 3:44 a.m., high at 8:37 a.m., low at 3:14 p.m., and high at 10:14 p.m. Sunset this evening is at 7:03, and the outlook is for similar weather conditions through Sunday morning. Your weather, of course, provided by the Cayman Islands National Weather Service and brought to you by our good friends at CG Britcay.
Take some advice from your Aunt Angie. Don't lie on your resume. Because if you say you've got trapeze experience, someone might shoot you out of a cannon and expect you to do a gymnast routine while flying through the air at 82 miles an hour. And just because you want to land on your feet doesn't mean you will. But if you're smart, you'll have CG medical insurance, so you get the best coverage for the price.
Get the best coverage for the price. CG Britcay. Good like that. All benefits are subject to policy provisions, including eligibility at the time of service.
The 8:12 a.m. weather report brought to you by CG Britcay, where people come first.
During these unprecedented times, Radio Cayman, the voice of the Cayman Islands, is pleased to bring you the Cayman Strong Series. The Cayman Strong Series is brought to you by Encourse Cayman. Visit encourse.ky to view a full list of wellness services and their qualified team. Encourse Cayman, health, wellness, and happiness.
Achieving our goals is rewarding, but at times can feel frustrating, especially if and when we miss our target. As you approach your goals in life, set yourself up for success. When setting goals, have a deadline for each step. Procrastination has a way of derailing effort. Setting a time to review progress helps to increase motivation because you know effort has contributed to small successes. Consider rewards if things are going well. If things are not going as well as you would like, a deadline gives you a chance to pause and reflect on the current goal to see if there may be something getting in the way of being able to get it done. Change your thinking and change your life.
During these unprecedented times, Radio Cayman, the voice of the Cayman Islands, is pleased to bring you the Cayman Strong Series. The Cayman Strong Series is brought to you by Encourse Cayman. Visit encourse.ky to view a full list of wellness services and their qualified team. Encourse Cayman, health, wellness, and happiness.
These days, feelings of loneliness, anxiety, stress, and depression can be overwhelming. Just know you are not alone. Encourse Cayman offers private mental health services for children, teens, adults, and groups. Visit encourse.ky to view a full list of wellness services and their qualified team. Encourse Cayman, health, wellness, and happiness.
The traffic report is brought to you by Subway. Planning a meeting, event, or office celebration? Visit subway.ky to place your catering order today.
Morning, my friends. It's just about 14 minutes after 8 o'clock. Let's take a look at the traffic in your area. Looking at my traffic cams, of course, still got lots of traffic to deal with along the Linford Pearson Crew Road and, of course, going through South Sound. And those continuing via Walker's Road will experience some traffic as you just get past the old John Gray High School area. Of course, continuing on. And what'd you know? All my traffic cams gone down. Just like that. Basically, lots of traffic to deal with coming in from the eastern districts along the Linford Pearson Highway, Crew Road, and of course through South Sound. And of course, continuing through South Church Street onto Seafarers Way, North Church Street, and continuing on West Bay Road. No cruise ships in, so there'll be light pedestrian movement in the Georgetown area. Of course, Bobby Thompson Way has the usual traffic feeding into Huldah Avenue. Those continuing on to east or west direction. Traffic starts to dissipate as you turn down your street of choice, wherever you're heading to. Of course, the Butterfield Roundabout has the usual busy flow of traffic, especially along the North Sound Road area. Light traffic coming off the Esley Tibbetts. And, of course, moderate traffic along West Bay Road. Cayman Brack and Little Cayman. Very little traffic this time of the morning. And I hope the guys at AFCON can sort out this traffic cam issue. The cameras are down. Alright, so have yourself a great morning. Buckle up and stay safe. Look out for pedestrians, those on bicycles, scooters, motorbikes. And have yourself a great long weekend. Your traffic report brought to you by our good friends at Subway.
From boat days to beach gatherings, leave the catering to Subway. Choose from small and large sandwich platters, double meat wrap platters, and top it off with optional cookie platters for dessert. Or ask about our Subway box to go with the option of 6-inch or foot-long sandwich, 1 cookie, and 1 bag of chips. For all occasions and celebrations, let Subway focus on the food so you can focus on the fun. Visit subway.ky for catering options. Subway. Eat fresh.
The traffic report is brought to you by Subway. Planning a meeting, event, or office celebration? Visit subway.ky to place your catering order today.
Homeowners, protecting your family and property is crucial during the season, and you should always assess insurance needs long before a storm makes landfall. Most insurers won't issue new policies or increases when a storm is imminent. Cayman Insurance Center's team of professionals can help owners like you find the most comprehensive coverage and competitive rates. Call the insurance professionals at Cayman Insurance Center 949-4657 or email info@cic.com.ky. Don't take chances with your family's future or your valuable assets. Call Cayman Insurance Center's insurance professionals today at 949-4657.
Since 1993, Rotary Central has worked diligently each year to provide quality bus shelters to our community. A traveling convenience to our school children, the elderly, young people going to work, guest workers, and visitors using the public bus. We, Rotary Central, help you, our advertisers, make it happen. Your marketing dollar travels a far way, positioning your message, your product, your services, your presence in over 83 bus shelters. Every dollar you spend, every advert you place helps to build another bus shelter, providing modest comfort for Cayman travelers. Reserve space now on the only billboard medium in the Cayman Islands. Email rotaryshelters@gmail.com. rotaryshelters@gmail.com. The Bus Shelters, a partner in community convenience. Another inspiration program by Rotary Central Cayman Islands.
It's hard to shop for Dad, isn't it? He seems to have everything and loves anything you buy, but you want that special gift. So now is the time to head down to Christian Enlightenment Center. You will find Christ-centered resources that educate, encourage, and inspire. Show Dad your appreciation for his love, kindness, and the strong support he's given over all these years. Make Christian Enlightenment Center your first stop for Father's Day gifts that will leave a lasting impression on your dad's heart. Christian Enlightenment Center.
Open Monday through Saturday, 9 to 6 at the new location on North Church Street beside the Burger King on the waterfront in Georgetown. 945-1252.
For the record, with Orrett Connor.
Initiating system.
For information that matters. For the record, with Orrett Connor. Continues right now on Radio Cayman.
Good morning and welcome back to For the Record. It is my pleasure to have in the studio with me this morning two representatives from the Department of Lands and Survey. We have Ms. Sophia Williams, and also we have Ms. Regina Ebanks, who's recently been appointed as a Deputy Registrar of Lands. Before I throw the mic back over to you ladies, one of our listeners has written in and said, good morning, OC and guests. Congrats on the well-deserved promotion for Ms. Regina Ebanks. The person says that they have a question and a serious land request based on this week's parliamentary debate on money. Will government please keep the 2 condos it has acquired by default at Grapetree Condos? That's a question. Do not auction them off. These can be used by visiting consultants or for settling in new staff temporarily or for new governor's residents. We own so little of our own tourism products. Do not sell them. Any comments?
Well, what I can say is that it may be best for the concerned persons to send their that request or concern to the Ministry of District Admin and Land. In particular, you can probably address the concern to our policy officer, who is Mr. David Fawcett.
Okay.
But we wouldn't be able, but that is something that we, when we go back, we can address as well. But that is not something that the registry would be able to handle. But you can definitely reach out to the ministry with those concerns.
Okay, so back over to you. Want to give all the good news out there and everything?
Yep. So the good news is that we're back out into the public at Savannah United Church on Thursday the 22nd at 6:30 p.m. And we'll be there until 8:30. And I want to say as well, it's not just Lands and Survey. The Department of Planning has been partnering with us, and I want to say shout out to the Department of Planning. They've been so supportive. And also the company's registry. So we will all be there on Thursday at 8:30 to answer your concerns or queries, and also to assist with the rectifications. Persons can come to us. We'll assist you to complete the forms. We'll assist to do a free check of the register. Normally that's something that you'd have to pay for, just to check your names and addresses.
And I'm just going to hand over to Regina just to let her also tell us how the rectification waiver has been going.
Okay, before Ms. Regina responds, one of our listeners wanted to know that if you have more than one property and you have to do more than one rectification, whether or not a separate form is required for each?
So, yes, is the short answer to that. Simply so that we can keep proper records, yes.
Okay.
So we started the fee waiver in May, and usually in a full year, we would do about 400 rectification applications. In May alone, we processed about 200, and just under 200. And so far in June, we've done about 120. So if I'm calculating that right, we've waived about $15,000 in fees. So people are really coming out to our public counters and to our town hall meetings to rectify their names on the register as well as their postal addresses.
That's excellent that we're getting such positive feedback, from that as well. Yeah. Mm-hmm. And $15,000 in fees you've waived so far.
Yeah, $15,000, and I just want to say to members of the public, it's a really great achievement. As Regina said, up to last week we're at 120 in June, so we expect June to actually by the end to probably it's been quite a lot. So we expect June to probably take us to what we're doing for the entire year. So we're very pleased with the response by the public. We're still trying to get the information out to the public for persons to come in to register. And again, we just want to inform the public the importance of getting their names correct and the importance of updating your address so that you can receive notices, whether they're information regarding planning development, notices regarding claims on properties, notices that are served when persons are doing survey boundaries, so that you can be there to know if you disagree or agree with a boundary that is being fixed at any particular point in time. And the issue with not showing up, sometimes it may be fixed, and if after certain periods have passed, you may have lost the right to challenge something if you are in disagreement. So it's really very important that you get particularly the address correct as well.
For the benefit of our listening and viewing audience, can you explain the difference between a fixed boundary and what's the other one would be?
A general boundary.
General boundary, yeah.
So a lot of persons, I think, the first thing I want to say is a lot of persons sometimes use what we call our registry map. They'll come and get a copy of the registry map and say these are our boundaries. But I want to inform the public that the registry boundary is merely indicative. So it is just say that this may be your boundary. For you to definitively know what your boundaries are, it would have to have been surveyed by a licensed land surveyor. So the fixed boundary survey is when the licensed land surveyor goes out, they will serve notice, they will give you time, they'll tell you exactly when they're going to appear. And I just wanted to inform members of the public, when you see that notice that comes out from Lands and Survey, it's a notice that says that the surveyor may come out on a particular day. A lot of the work is done in office, and we include a self-addressed envelope. There's no cost for the persons to send back the notice to the surveyor to say, yes, I want to be there. If you send back that notice to the surveyor to say you want to be there, that is when the surveyor will appear. There are a lot of persons who think we send the notice out and they just wait for the surveyor to appear, and then they'll go, the surveyor didn't come, but then we say to them, you didn't indicate to them that you wanted to be there. So the notice actually tells you, if you want to be there, you have to inform the surveyor, and then he will come and he will demonstrate and show you where the boundaries are.
Got you.
And then there's a general boundary survey that shows you generally where your boundaries are, just what the name says. It's not accurate, but the fixed boundary survey definitely is an accurate and a definitive position of where your boundaries are.
Okay. Now, on one of my previous shows, some mention was made, about the rectification period and the length of time. And I pointed out the end of June, and I was quickly corrected by, one of my listening audience. They sent a WhatsApp message, said, no, it's now the 30th of July. And so it means that people out there are listening. But can you talk a little bit about that as well?
Just wanted to remind persons that, yes, our rectification goes up to the 30th of June. It ends the 30th of June. As I said, Cabinet was very gracious in giving us this period of waiver fees for us to get the information on the register correct. And we end the 30th of July.
Mm-hmm. Now let's talk about the convenience. We know that, you know, your what should I say? Your front offices where you deal directly with the public, you know, can be quite busy at times. The personnel that you have there, they're certainly, you know, well versed in what they need to do, very pleasant and everything else. But talk a little bit about the advantage that you're giving people to be able to come out into their district in the meeting in Savannah, to come and have it done, you know, right there in the ease where they're comfortable. They don't have to be looking at their watch to say, well, you know, I have to get back to my work, so, you know, I'm not there. You know, the ease with which people will be able to conduct.
Yeah. So apart from the waiver, we sat down and we said, really, how do we get persons to update the register? And we decided that we're going to go to East District and we're going to assist you in completing the forms. So on Thursday, and at each district meeting, we've been to Bordentown, we've been to Northside, East End. We will be there. We are going to be looking up your register, showing you on the map what your information that we have for you. We will also assist you in completing the forms. We'll take those forms from you and we will process them, and you will be notified when that has been completed. So there are persons also, there are elderly persons who may not make it into town because our office is at the Government Administration Building. So we recognize that it's not, as you said, it's not always easy. We're not online as yet. So it's not always easy for persons to come into the building, and especially for the elderly or persons who may otherwise be may have other challenges in terms of coming to the Government Administration Building. So we're going out to you, and we're encouraging persons to come out. The entire process can be completed at our town hall meetings.
Okay. I want to give both of you an opportunity for some closing comments. We're going to start with Ms. Regina, and again, congratulations to you, and any advice that you want to give out there to youngsters who are thinking about a career in the civil service, or in particular with the Lands and Survey Department as well.
Thanks so much for that. I just wanted to say that I didn't want anybody to feel like getting a law degree or working within Lands and Survey was unattainable. To get into the law degree program, you just have to have about 2 GCSE A-level passes with a minimum of grade C. And I'm sure that the law school has all of their requirements on their website. But I just want them to know that paralegal certifications, any legal certifications is kind of what we're looking for. And they're not unattainable for anybody. It doesn't only open opportunities in Lands and Survey, but the wider public as well, like legal department, private companies, the private firms, and bank and trust companies as well. So I want everybody to feel that, you know, it's attainable, because I started at the bottom as an office attendant, and through the department support, I went through my legal certifications and then moved up to my bachelor's.
Do you still do the summer internship programs in that government? Your department participate in that as well?
Yes, we're hoping to start our summer internship program in July. Last year we had quite a number of persons, and in particular we had persons both registry and the survey section as well. Because they're looking to see how they can encourage persons. So we're trying to get the students, especially the students coming out of high school, to get them, to show them what it is really like. So we definitely encourage persons, when you are leaving school, whether you're at university or if you're leaving high school, that you do apply. There's now a uniform process where you apply to each to work with Cayman Islands government, and we definitely ask you to select Lands and Survey as a choice for you. We're welcoming. We want to show you what we do. And we want to give persons an opportunity to work with us as well.
Excellent, excellent. So, Ms. Williams, before you leave, I want to remind persons of the next meeting, time, venue, and what they can expect.
So, again, we're at Thursday the 22nd at Savannah United Church at their town hall meeting, at their church hall. Mm-hmm. We're there at 6:30. With the Department of Planning and also with General Registry. When you come, you'll be able to get your queries answered. So it doesn't necessarily have to be a rectification. It could be queries that we get a lot of persons who come to our public counter asking us issues about estate matters, about boundary matters. So we're asking you to come out to us. Also, what we are asking you, what we will do, and we are committed to doing, is that we will also complete your rectification and process those. We'll take those back to our office and process those for you. So there'll be no need for you to come to the government administration building to get that done. So we do encourage you to come out. We have lots of prizes, surprises, refreshments. It's going to be a very interactive session, interactive and engaging session.
And for anybody that may be coming out to do your rectification there, we're just asking you to walk with a photo ID, maybe a driver's license, or if you're coming out to apply to change your name on the register, you can walk with the documents as well, like a deed poll or anything like that. You may have changed your name.
Okay, or birth certificate too?
Or
birth certificates, marriage certificates, anything like that.
Excellent, excellent. Well, ladies, I want to thank you, for being here, for providing all of the information, providing an option for persons in our islands rather than having to come into the government administration building to transact their business. And not only that, in this day and age where every little dollar counts, yes. Being able to save that money, you can take that, $50 per change?
$50 per register.
Yep.
And that is a significant saving.
Yeah, and those of you who can afford it, then you can take that $50 and give it to a worthy cause if you if you want to as well. And again, congratulations to Miss Regina Ebanks. Again, it goes to show you if you put your mind to something, what you can achieve. But it also goes to show you that there are opportunities within the Cayman Islands government for persons to progress. And there are persons within those departments who don't feel threatened, about their existence, and because they realize also that they're not there forever, but they're also prepared to pave the way for those who are coming behind them, to nurture them, to hold their hand, to give them the advice and the encouragement that they need as well. And I think that is well demonstrated in the Department of Lands and Surveying. Congratulations to you, for that as well.
Thank you so much for having us as well.
Okay, folks, we're going to take a commercial break. We're a little bit over, but we're going to have Dr. Steve McFeel and Ms. Teresa Pitcairn in the studio. So fasten your seatbelts. When we return, we will have them in the studio, and at some point in time, we will have an open line for you to call in as well. So please stay tuned for the record. We'll be back shortly.
Are you feeling sick but don't feel ill enough to go to the doctor? Ask your pharmacist for advice. Here at West Bay Pharmacy, our pharmacists have been trained to offer helpful, easy to understand advice on the treatment of everyday minor ailments for yourself and all the family. Anything from headaches, cough and sore throat, to cold sores, our pharmacists will know when medical help is needed and will not hesitate to refer you to your doctor if your symptoms demand it. Like doctors, our pharmacists have a professional code, which means all personal information you give them will be treated in the strictest confidence. Visit us today at West Bay Pharmacy, where we care about your health.
What's that? No sugar, same amazing taste? Coca-Cola Zero Sugar is here to stay. Classic taste, pure satisfaction. Be sure to stop into any Tortuga location and get your own case of Coke Zero. Or grab an ice-cold one straight from the cooler. Brought to you by Tortuga Distributors Limited. Coca-Cola, taste the feeling, Cayman.
This is, of course, a call going out to all Honda vehicle owners. There is currently an urgent safety recall regarding faulty Takata airbags in Honda vehicles in the Cayman Islands. As affected vehicles get older, a combination of high temperatures and humidity can affect the airbags with the fault, placing you and your family at potential risk. So Car City is currently replacing any defective airbags completely free of charge. To check whether your vehicle is affected, you can go to carcity.ky/recalls. And if your vehicle is not affected, you will require a letter from Car City stating so for your next vehicle licensing inspection. Without this, your vehicle will not pass its inspection. So please contact the Car City service team to arrange this by calling 949-5525 or go to carcity.ky/recalls. The safety of you and your family is important to Car City, so please take the time to check if your vehicle is affected by this urgent Honda safety recall.
At Kirk's Home Center, we can make your life much better. We got it all together. We got a great deal in store for you. From cookware to stereos, from power tools to plumbing supplies. Yeah, we got the best goods with the best price and a service to make you smile. Kirk's Home Center, we got a great deal in store for you.
Homeowners, protecting your family and property is crucial during the season, and you should always assess insurance needs long before a storm makes landfall. Most insurers won't issue new policies or increases when a storm is imminent. Cayman Insurance Center's team of professionals can help owners like you find the most comprehensive coverage and competitive rates. Call the insurance professionals at Cayman Insurance Center 949-4657 or email info@cic.com.ky. Don't take chances with your family's future or your valuable assets. Call Cayman Insurance Center's insurance professionals today at 949-4657.
A reminder here that your Yesteryear Musicals Father's Day edition comes your way on Saturday evening at 8 o'clock on Breeze Radio. Sunday is Father's Day. Your Yesteryear Musicals Saturday evenings at 8 o'clock on Breeze Radio. Entertaining, enlightening, and inspirational. Topical with CI cultural and heritage flashbacks and the wonderful music of yesteryear. From the Thomas Edison era to the recent past. Your Yesteryear Musical, Saturdays at 8 p.m. on Breeze Radio, 105.3 FM in Grand Cayman and 91.9 FM in Cayman Brac and Little Cayman. Your Yesteryear Musicals, Father's Day edition, Saturday evening at 8 o'clock on Breeze Radio.
System 1 loaded.
1-800-534-8255. What is on your mind when it comes to the government, independence, and the opposition? Issues that matter to you. 1-800-534-8255. Waiting to hear from you. For the Record.
This is For the Record with Orrett Connor.
Good morning and welcome back to For the Record. It is my pleasure to have in the studio with me now none other than Dr. Steve McFeel and Miss Teresa Pitcairn. Both of them, no strangers to the studio as well. And we have lots to talk about today. I'm going to probably do very little talking because I want to give them an opportunity to express themselves, to share any information that they want to share with our listening and viewing audience as well. So, folks, without any further ado, good morning. Welcome back to For the Record.
So, you know, OC, I brought my own coffee and I brought my own water because I know how, if I were being a real Bordentowner, the term stinger comes to mind, but I won't say that, right? I'll just be nice. But as Steve would say, Mr. For the Record, good morning to you. Good morning to the wider Caymanian community and those in other areas outside of the Cayman Islands who regularly form part of your audience. I'll just say very quickly, I'm just going to jump right into it and then let Steve jump right into it as well.
Okay.
So very recently, I had the opportunity to speak to a number of professionals on the issue of immigration. And the more I discuss that issue, because to be honest, OC, I had to say to the young lady who invited me to participate, are you sure that it's me that you want to come on board? Because you know me and the unadulterated truth. And she said, yes, Miss Teresa, yes, Miss Teresa. And then I said, look at your audience. Are you sure? Yes, Miss Teresa, yes, Miss Teresa. So I said, we were talking a little bit about immigration and some of the concerns with immigration. And I said, because there are two other speakers, I won't talk about the immigration law specificities like the point system, because we know that don't make sense. And I won't get into the recent Court of Appeal decision where a decision was made with respect to our Constitution and the immigration law. And there seems to be some dichotomy between the two. So I said to them, instead, I'm going to paint a broad picture around that subject, so that we can flesh it out and have a better understanding. And the hope was to start to have some dialogue around these issues. So I said, it's going to cause some people to get uncomfortable, even nervous. So I started by saying, my contribution is going to be a curriculum of truth. And I said, folks are going to get a little nervous. But I said, unless we start to talk about the uncomfortable truths, we are just not going to move forward. So I'll just say that to introduce myself this morning and just let Steve come on his board before I take up all the oxygen.
Yeah, Doc, good morning.
Good morning to you, Mr. For the Record, and good morning to all your listeners, and for the record land, those who hear you and listen to you on Monday, Wednesdays, and Fridays, and all the people in the Cayman diaspora. Good morning again. Well, we have our colleagues with us, Teresa Pitcairn. We meet as often as we can. We just met yesterday afternoon.
Yeah.
And we're sharing notes about the systems and the country that we share. And since she made the open remarks about the Court of Appeal decision, let me just remind your listeners of what the salient points about the Court of Appeal decision.
Yes.
The board, the permanent residence and status board made a decision against two persons who were seeking to become permanent residents in the Cayman Islands. One was a Filipino national and one was an Indian national. The Indian national person appealed because the board found, as a matter of fact, under the immigration laws, that he had not reached 110 points that would have qualified him to become a permanent resident. And the other person appealed on the grounds that he had not gotten enough points, that they had not given him the answers to the historical cultural questions, so that he could study them and then go home and study them to pass them. And that was they say that was an error on the part of the board, the system, and that he ought to have gotten more points to qualify. They both appealed the decision to the Immigration Appeals Tribunal, which upheld the board, and they were dissatisfied with that, and they appealed to the Grand Court, which upheld the board and the Immigration Tribunal, and they were satisfied with the Grand Court decision, and they appealed to the Court of Appeal. The Court of Appeal heard the case of the two applicants to them, and they also upheld the board's decision, the Immigration Tribunal decision, the Grand Court decision, and they said that it was obvious that these appellants had not reached the number of points, 110, to be able to obtain permanent residence under the point system, which is the system in which when you make an application for permanent residence after the long immigration stay in the islands, after the work permit system has said that you have come to to your term limit, that you either have to leave or make application. That's what they did. Under that system, in order to qualify to become a permanent resident, you have to get 110 points. And the Court of Appeal said that they had not qualified under the point system. But the Court of Appeal went on and said something else. They said even though they had not qualified to become permanent residents under the immigration point system, that we as a country should find a way outside the immigration point system to allow them to stay, even though they never qualified under the law in which regulates that system. And I found that very obnoxious and very arrogant. And we had been calling on the government to say you have to appeal this decision to the Privy Council. You have to get rid of this because this reminds us of another. By the way, words of the Court of Appeal, in which they said that even though the applicants had in the marriage fiasco, the same-sex marriage fiasco, had gone through all the systems, all the courts, and the courts had ruled that there is no right to same-sex marriage under our Constitution. And the Court of Appeal upheld that decision. And even when it went to the Privy Council, that decision was upheld. The Court of Appeal still say that we should find a way to give them some rights similar to the rights that marriage people had. And when we decided, our country, through our elected leader, decided not to do that, a governor went in and did it under his reserve powers.
And placed their interpretation in terms of what the Court of Appeals, what the decision was there. Okay, I'm going to interrupt you there. Doc, we have to go to a commercial break, folks. Please stay tuned. For the record, we'll be back shortly.
There you go, sir. Thanks for choosing JN Money Transfer.
Boy, thanks to JN Money Transfer, I can stay right here in Cayman and pay Mama bills back home in Jamaica. Her water, light, phone, and other bills never late. Every month I pay everything in one place.
Make payments to over 30 companies in Jamaica through JN Money Transfer. Fast, affordable, convenient. Call 1-800-744-1163 for details.
Since March 2004, West Bay Pharmacy has kept their doors open to the local communities, even before, during, and after Hurricane Ivan. At West Bay Pharmacy, our staff provides so much more than pharmaceutical excellence. From the moment you walk through our doors to completing your cash out, our staff will have put your healthcare concerns at ease. We would like to take this moment to thank our loyal friends and customers. To us at West Bay Pharmacy, our patients are our primary concern. We provide thorough background checks and precise calculations to ensure your medical safety. Thank you for being a part of our family and for choosing West Bay Pharmacy, where we care about your health.
Can you imagine your home completely organized? At Brand Source Custom Closets, we can. We specialize in designing and building custom closets and storage units for any room in your home, including the garage. With tailored designs and custom LED lighting solutions to fit your lifestyle and budget. Our Custom Closets expert is committed to enhancing the value of your home with a solution that is uniquely yours. Visit our showroom or call 623-6774 to schedule a no-obligation appointment with our design expert. Brand Source Custom Closets, 209 Dorsey Drive, Industrial Park.
You know, as a little girl, I dreamt of traveling to faraway places and foreign lands. I tell you what though, no more dreaming. This summer, I go in flying with Cayman Airways. How blessed are we in the Cayman Islands to have a very own national airline? Girl, you can fly to so many international destinations without the hassle of connecting flights. On top of Jamaica, Cuba, and Honduras, you got non-stop flights from Cayman to New York, Miami, Tampa, and even Denver, Los Angeles, and now Panama. Going to be a little cafe con leche and Hollywood Squares for this old gal this summer.
Make your travel dreams come true with Cayman Airways, offering non-stop flights for non-stop adventures in Panama, LA, and many more places in between. For details and to book, call 949-2311, contact a travel agent, or visit CaymanAirways.com.
This Father's Day, celebrate the hero in your life with the perfect gift from Reflections Clothing Store. Sale, sale, sale. Save 10 to 75% off brands like Dockers, Levi's, US Polo, Nike, Reebok, Puma, Adidas, Nautica, and more. From timeless classics to modern trends and athletic wear, Reflections has the perfect fit for dad. Save even more with our clearance baskets. Everything priced $10 or less. Don't miss the chance to save big while making dad look his best. Celebrate dad in style and save 10 to 75% off on Dockers, Levi's, US Polo, Nike, Reebok, Puma, Adidas, Nautica, and more. Only at Reflections Clothing Store, Shedden Road, beside Mango Tree, and across from Kirk Napa. Open Monday through Thursday, 9 a.m. till 8 p.m. Friday and Saturday, 9 till 9.
For the record, with Orrett Connor.
Initiating system.
For information that matters. For the record, with Orrett Connor. Continues right now on Radio Cayman.
Big up economic price in Bermuda.
Good morning and welcome back to For the Record. In the studio with me, Dr. Steve McField and Miss Teresa Pitcairn. Just want to say to you, at some point in time, I'd like for us to discuss some of our other sister overseas territories. For instance, we see in the British Virgin Islands where they are now taking steps to clear up a belongership backlog. We also see where their governor there has indicated that an investigation will take place to determine whether or not any ministers and or members of parliament, any of their families, may have benefited from some decisions that were made by their cabinet in relation to belongership in the British Virgin Islands. Then we see in Bermuda, in today's Bermuda Gazette, where they're indicating that they will change the requirements for permanent residency in Bermuda. Bermuda has a different challenge where at one point in time, Bermuda's population was up to 60,000 to 70,000 persons. It has been reduced now. They had a lot of international businesses, and then with the reinsurance business and everything else, they lost some of that international business, and some of the persons who were there on work permits, that was reduced. Of course, some of their policies that they instituted in relation to residency and Bermudan status may have been an issue, for them with that as well. We also see Turks and Caicos Islands, and I'll share that one with you, struggling as well. So at some point in time, if we can discuss the whole idea of what's happening in the other overseas territories, whether or not this is something that should have been discussed at one of the at our most recent or future joint ministerial councils. Of course, the UK is going to say, we have devolved immigration to all of the overseas territories. We allow you to craft your own legislation. Of course, it still has to be assented to by the governor, but we have allowed you to deal with that. So I am fearful at the end of the day, the UK is going to say, if you make a mess of it, if you mess it up, then you have no one to blame but yourself, because we have given you control over it. So at some point in time, if we could, discuss some of that,
I'd only say that there is a selective, my mom said to me that, Teresa, if you're going to go into marriage, make sure you go into it with both eyes open. But when you're in the marriage, make sure you close one eye, because, you want to survive the experience. So I only say that to share that in my limited experience, the UK's responsibility to certain things in the community that that are complex and cause a lot of conflict, they weigh in when it's useful for them to do so. And I mean, the point that that Steve just raised with respect to the marriage law and having the a more introducing a different law. What's it called? Something union law. I can't remember what it's called. And that's they're selective.
Civil
partnership.
Yeah.
That they're selective with the things that they want to become involved with.
Mm-hmm.
But what underscores this whole debate is how do we develop a common story, certainly in the Cayman Islands, because, there's a caustic mismatch between the business demand and, what Caymanians are seeing. I said to some folks, in trying to create a mental picture around what I see and what many Caymanians see. You go into a restaurant, no one looks like you, no one speaks like you, and indeed there are times when folks will want to treat you as invisible. You go on Cayman Airways, some of the times you have difficulties understanding some of the messaging that is communicated to the audience. When you go into a business environment, you're surrounded by a sea of foreign faces. When you go into the supermarket,
sometimes speaking their own language in your presence as well.
And I'm not saying that we shouldn't, that this our current way of being, that this is not something that we should embrace or something that we should discourage. But Caymanians are saying, look, we need some time to absorb all of this, because you see when you look at some of the chats, they're rife with tensions, and the whole idea of having an iPhone where you get information immediately online, anything that is communicated that is offensive with respect to immigration, with respect to work permit and so on, it's immediately on the chat and people retrieve it, and then there's an ongoing dialogue and discussion around it, because as you know, Caymanians historically sit down in their porch and now, like I say, on these chats and have these conversations, and they are irate. Rather than, every now and again someone will say, well, we need to stand up and we need to have some kind of public debate or go to the LA and have our voices heard and so on. My thing is, before we get there, we need to ensure that there's some dialogue and discussion about what is happening now, and to make some sense of it, because what you don't want is to wait on and fear. One of the things is the fear of becoming extinct, and you see that always colored with not having any ability to get fair opportunities in the workplace, not having fair opportunities for entrepreneurship. I made a comment. I wanted to make a note to myself about there was something I was going to say about what we haven't done is to develop some form of inclusive capitalism. So on the one hand, Caymanians see that they're not being a part of this, they're not benefiting from all the successes. More recently, someone pinched me and said, Teresa, did you hear about this millionaires club for women that they're now having? And, folks are saying, why are these people bringing in these elitist types of mentality into a small community like ours? So it's an affront to us now trying to survive and say, well, what is community? Because it's not the case anymore. I don't know what Steve feels about that.
Well, I disagree with Orrett in a way about Bermuda, because Bermuda is not the economic price that Cayman is. Bermuda doesn't have our population. We are 80-something thousand plus already.
But at one point they far surpassed us.
Yes, but that point is gone now. That point has already passed and gone. That's history. That's another wave someplace, another tsunami someplace that's taking place someplace else. You see, the problem that we have is what our forefathers has done on their own here is not what the Bermudans did. The Bermuda was a white country, actually controlled by those people. That's why they have the kind of constitution that they have, because they gave them that power to control their own destiny.
Pre-independence constitution I spoke to. Doc, I'm going to interrupt you there because we have to go to our headline news. But as soon as we return, we can give you the mic back. Folks, please stay tuned for the record. We'll be back shortly.
Radio Cayman,
the voice,
the heart, the soul of the Cayman Islands.
Today's biggest news.
Radio Cayman. Your voice, your choice.
Local, regional, international. This is Headlines from Radio Cayman's newsroom.
Today's biggest news.
The headline news is brought to you by Health Services Authority.
Cayman Islands Attorney General and Chairman of the Caribbean Financial Action Task Force, the Honorable Sam Bolgen, gave the keynote address at an online symposium this week. The one-time virtual Grand Cayman Symposium was organized by the Association of Certified Anti-Money Laundering Specialists. African leaders are in Ukraine on a peace mission where they are due to meet President Volodymyr Zelensky. Ukraine's foreign minister says an air raid at the start of their visit shows Russian President Vladimir Putin wants, quote, more war. The 7 African leaders from countries including South Africa and Egypt will head to Russia tomorrow. The group has agreed to engage with Zelensky and Putin on a ceasefire and lasting peace, but the initiative comes just as Kyiv launches its counteroffensive against the Russian invasion and fighting intensifies. Meanwhile, a BBC investigation has found that at least 25,000 Russian soldiers have been killed in Ukraine, 4 times the official figure released by Moscow. NATO defense ministers are meeting in Brussels today, and the St. Petersburg International Economic Forum is taking place, with President Vladimir Putin expected to make the keynote speech. Those are your headlines. I'm Karsley Fuller.
For the latest in news and information,
follow Radio Cayman on social media, Facebook, Instagram, Twitter. Download the Radio Cayman app or log on to our website, radiocayman.gov.ky.
The headline news are brought to you by Health Services Authority.
Health Services Authority is now offering online payment options for patients. Patients of HSA can now pay their bills, including deposits, towards scheduled services online at payments.hsa.ky. The secure, new online payment system accepts debit or credit cards and is in addition to the available payment options of cash, check, and online bank transfer. For quick, easy, and secure payment directly from your phone or computer, visit HSA's new online payment system at payments.hsa.ky.
For the record, with Orrett Connor.
Initiating system.
For information that matter. For the record, with Orrett Connor. Continues right now on Radio Cayman.
Good morning. Welcome back to For the Record. In the studio with me, Dr. Steve Macfield and Miss Teresa. Just going to let you know, Miss Teresa will probably leave us for a short period and then return around about, that'll take place around about 9:30. But in the meantime, you will continue to hear her voice. So, Doc, sorry I had to interrupt you there, but
So we are in a different realm, a different category from them.
Mm-hmm.
We do not have the, for instance, Bermuda has a lesser population, and I think maybe 20-40% less population than we have. They have a better.
They're about 6 to something thousand.
We are 86,000 or something, and Bermuda has a built-in infrastructure already that we do not have. So the comparison is not really great. But the problem that we have is we have built Cayman into a international economic prize. Everyone wants to come here from all over this world.
Mm-hmm.
I don't think Bermuda has any can boast about any 140.
Well, they were like that, but their policies that they instituted plus the economic situation, Bermuda relied heavily on international business, reinsurance and stuff. We saw a lot of that move out of Bermuda. Some people may argue also that their policies that they instituted as far as work permits are concerned, as well as the strictness in relation to obtaining Bermudan status. You have children who were born in Bermuda years ago who did not, still have not acquired Bermudan status. So they tried to track. So Bermuda has now experienced the reversal of, they're seeking now to attract more. They're trying to relax their immigration policies. They're trying to address the issues that those long-term residents have there and their children being unable to get Bermudan status. Whereas here in the Cayman Islands, we're saying, wait a minute, this thing is happening too fast. We're being overrun. We're losing our identity. Turks and Caicos.
But here in the Cayman Islands, it always has become a free-for-all.
Yeah. Turks and Caicos, they now have a consultation period going out to look at their ordinance And what will they be looking at? The government says the changes will ensure that the ordinance is amended to capture loopholes that were realized to make sure that there is a modern, transparent, and fair process in place that has a predefined protocol for the treatment of applications. They're going to be looking at changes to the ordinance to address the treatment of dependents of persons granted islander status, the treatment of dependents of persons with islander status by descent, for DNA testing for all applicants, and for the introduction of evaluation criteria for islander status through grants. So what Turks
Well,
and
we
Caicos
have,
is
that, we
saying-
have that already.
Right. But what they're saying is that we have to put these things in place because we now feel they're trying to get to where we are now.
Where we
and,
were.
Yeah, and we're trying to say, wait a minute now, here is where we at. Let's take a look at this whole thing because we see exactly how it is affecting us. When we grant Caymanian status here, any child under the age of 18 of that person who's granted Caymanian status will then be eligible to apply for status. Because
Not only child,
because
children.
they have a
children, sometimes 4 and 5 and 6.
because they have a parent who has it as well. That is why some people are arguing and saying, and I think rightly so to a certain extent, that we should now restrict the granting of Caymanian status to persons married to Caymanian, and whether or not we look at whether or not that the period of marriage needs to be extended as well, and Caymanian status
By descent. I agree with that. I agree with that. I think that will solve a lot of our problems, because this matter of being able to move on to stay onto permanent residence and status after being here for a certain amount of years is not working. It's not working because then everybody who comes because that seems to be the trend, has guaranteed them to stay. To stay as long as they're reaching the 8 or 9 year term limit. And so that's the problem that we face. And I can tell you, I don't want to go into this too publicly, but as chairman of the board, every Thursday when we go to board meetings, it's the same thing. You know, so we have to look at our laws now, because I can tell you, and I can tell your audiences, by the end of next year, if we keep up this trend, we're going to have over 100,000 people in this country. Population is going to be over 100,000 people, and that is frightening to see that infrastructure that we have. We cannot bear that amount of people here.
And don't forget what Baroness Scotland, who is now the Secretary General of the Commonwealth Secretariat, right? When she visited over that old immigration building, and you all remember where the boardroom was there, and she addressed members of the immigration board at that time. She specifically told us, and she was the minister for the overseas territories at that time, your problem that you have, you know, as far as status, belongership is concerned, you need to address the issue of the granting of permanent residence, because that is where your problem is. Ms. T, we got to get you into the conversation.
No, so to backtrack again, you know, because we're now moving in a direction where you have them and us on the one hand, and them and us is not just simply Caymanian versus others who are here living with us. There's also we may have one definition of Caymanian, but within that Caymanian you have the whole new Caymanians who only employ persons who are in their group. So you have that coming out of the history of how we evolved. And then you have next to that is crippling poverty. Many of them represented in the Caymanian community, and as Steve alluded to just now, the business structure as it is importing poverty to actually develop what they need. So you have that, and then, you know, how do you try to develop what like I said, you know, what is a common story so that we can share? Because when you sit in silos, you only know what you're talking about in your particular group. And then on top of that, you have that ungirded with the political system that we have. The whole notion that you can have independents run in a system that is designed for Westminster politics based on parties, which is why there's this cynicism in particular with the younger folks. You know, they say that our views don't matter, so why should we even get bothered and hot around the collar about these things? My fear, my worry has always been consistently is what happens when we don't have a system or process which shows that it's at least possible to actually benefit from the economy that we're building. What happens then when people don't have any faith, don't see that there's any other option but to get involved in a life of crime? So it's not as if people voluntarily want to get involved with a life of crime, but we've never had leadership which has taken the time to sit down and plan how we avoid getting to this space. Yes. So that's a part of the concern. And you can't have that every 4 years where you have independents having their own separate agenda. We know that that can't work. So the Caymanians who are observing what's going on, they don't have that broad back picture where they can analyze what's going on. And that's a part of the problem too. I'm hoping that coming out of the Boundary Commission discussion is a conversation about how we're going to evolve from a constitutional basis with our voting and electing leadership. That has to be foremost in our minds, because what we have seen that has gone on for ad nauseum, we know it cannot work. People who have been in leadership have been there for some 30-odd years. And this is where we are. And I'm not pointing fingers. I'm just calling this out, because unless you have a plan to extricate us from where we are now, it will be more of the same and just degenerate into a Cayman that people want. But that is balanced by having someone who is hugely wealthy in this island, pretty much owns most things. They are probably unlikely to sit back and watch their investment degenerate into something crazy.
Okay, we have two callers on hold. Let's try to see if we can grab one caller before we go to the commercial break. Paul, first caller, good morning. Welcome to For the Record.
Good morning, Mr. O'Connor.
Good morning, sir. How are you?
Good morning.
Yes, good morning, Mr. Stephen, Mr. Pitcairn also.
Hi, morning.
Yes, concerning being overseas territory, seems as though England is able to tell us that we have to do things sometimes even when the majority of us Caymanians don't agree with it. And I have a question this morning. When it comes to hurricane shelters, as you know, we don't have any professional hurricane shelters here in the Cayman Islands whatsoever. Maybe the one in Cayman Brac that Miss Juliana O'Connor Conley built. Maybe the only one. But I have a question. Concerning hurricane shelters now, things that we need here in our country to save lives from a natural disaster. If our government and our people go to England and ask them to help us build these hurricane shelters, would they do so?
They're not going to do that.
And why should they?
Why should they have to
do that? We have our own money. We could do that ourselves. And just let me jump in there, caller. I sit here, but I am not very naive about the situation that we're in. A colony is not democratic because it cannot decide things on its own. It cannot decide for its own self. A colony could never be a democratic system. We cannot have a democracy where a country decision is dictated by other people. I mean, that is a reality. And that's our first problem, that we don't want to face what we have to do to be able to make decisions ourselves, and we don't have other people making decisions for us. But we don't even want to entertain the debate and go to debate that matter. And so hurricane shelters is our problem. It is our culture. It's part of our history in this country about hurricanes.
And our responsibility.
And our responsibility to do that.
And you don't want to encourage the UK to get now involved with our whole financial situation.
Exactly.
Either.
Okay, well, saying all that concerning history and our culture and all that, Mr. Steve, concerning our hurricane shelters, right? Saying all that, right? What you just said. So when it comes to same-sex couples or same-sex marriages or whatever, or homosexual acts being allowed in our country, even if it's indoors, and England forces us to do things like that is against our heritage. So what do you have to say about that?
Well, what are we going to do about it? There's a way to do something about it. But are we going to take that way? Are we going to walk that walk? And we talk the talk, but we do not walk the walk.
We don't even want to talk the talk.
We don't want to talk the talk.
But to the young man's comment, the only thing that I was going to say is that this is about us and choosing leadership that is competent, leadership that is caring, leadership that is willing to take on complex matters that you're like the one that you're raising now. We can't blame the UK. We can't blame nobody but ourselves. This is a problem that we made, and it's only us that can solve it under the existing constitutional structure that we have.
Caller?
So what you're saying is then go independent.
I'm not making no.
We're not saying that.
I'm not going down that rabbit hole. All I'm saying is that we choose who our leaders are. We then act when they come around and they're talking about what they're going to do and the promises that they're going to make. You want to ensure that those promises are kept when they're elected to office. But if you see leadership taking on issues that fall far from the campaign promises, you, and by you I mean us as a community, you have to hold folks accountable. So this thing with the hurricane, it's a primary responsibility that we have. We experienced, Ivan, and in fact, to digress a bit, it seems as though it's really only when we have those circumstances that we actually get together as a community with natural disasters. But there is no one else but us to take responsibility for us.
Caller, I want to thank you very much for that. We have to go to a commercial break as well. Just to say, to follow up on his question, though, the shelter that is going to be a part of a church, a religious structure, as well as a shelter. I crossed there yesterday, and we see where the parking lot now is being done as well. So we know that hazard management, Cayman, has informed us that hopefully in the middle of the hurricane season, that structure will be ready as well. We have 3 callers on hold. We're going to take a commercial break. Folks, please stay tuned. For the record, we'll be back shortly.
What's that? No sugar, same amazing taste? Coca-Cola Zero Sugar is here to stay.
No one can stop me when I taste the
Classic taste, pure satisfaction. Be sure to stop into any Tortuga location and get your own case of Coke Zero. Or grab an ice-cold one straight from the cooler. Brought to you by Tortuga Distributors Limited. Coca-Cola, taste the feeling, Cayman.
Health behaviours and lifestyle choices such as diet and smoking can be risk factors for non-communicable diseases. The STEPS 2023 National Health Survey will allow the Ministry of Health and Wellness to gather important data on the health of the nation, including these risk factors. This information will inform our plans for the health needs of Cayman's residents, allowing us to better serve our population. Learn more by logging on to www.gov.ky/steps.
At Doctors Hospital, we know life happens, and usually when you least expect it. So when unexpected medical issues arise, you need quality care close to home. Located in the heart of Georgetown, our accomplished team of physicians and medical staff treat minor urgent conditions such as migraines, chest and abdominal pain, shortness of breath, burns, broken bones, open wounds, and more. 24 hours, 7 days a week with no appointment necessary. Peace of mind is important when life happens. At Doctors Hospital, we're always here just for you. Need to speak to someone? Call 949-6066.
You know, as a little girl, I dreamt of traveling to faraway places and foreign lands. I tell you what though, no more dreaming. This summer, I'm going flying with Cayman Airways. How blessed are we in the Cayman Islands to have a very own national airline? Girl, you can fly to so many international destinations without the hassle of connecting flights. On top of Jamaica, Cuba, and Honduras, you got non-stop flights from Cayman to New York, Miami, Tampa, and even Denver, Los Angeles, and now Panama. Going to be a little cafe con leche and Hollywood Squares for this old gal this summer.
Make your travel dreams come true with Cayman Airways, offering non-stop flights for non-stop adventures in Panama, LA, and many more places in between. For details and to book, call 949-2311, contact a travel agent, or visit CaymanAirways.com.
Father's Day is just around the corner, and Digicel has a special offer for all the amazing dads out there. Switch to Digicel and get 20 gigabytes more data for only $90, plus your first month free. Show your appreciation to your dad by giving him the gift of seamless connectivity. Don't miss out. Switch to Digicel today and get 20 gigabytes more data for only $90, plus your first month free. Make this Father's Day truly special with Digicel.
South Coast Bar and Grill up in Breakers, man, that is the place. For traditional Cayman cuisine, oh, you will love the taste. At South Coast Bar and Grill, we got conch and lobster and turtle stew. And every Sunday, come out with your family for the barbecue.
Enjoy a special menu created for Father's Day. Reservations recommended. Call South Coast Bar and Grill at 947-2517 to book your Father's Day lunch or dinner.
For Cayman and cuisine, the talk today is South Coast Bar and Grill.
For the record, with Orrett Connor.
Initiating system.
For information that matters. For the record, with Orrett Connor. Continues right now on Radio Cayman.
Good morning. Welcome back to For the Record. We have 4 callers on hold. We're going to try to accommodate all of the callers, but we're going to also ask you to try to please be as brief as possible. On our end, we're going to be as brief as we possibly can in terms of our responses whenever we do have to respond as well. Let's go to the first caller. Good morning. Welcome to For the Record.
Good morning, OC.
Good morning.
Yeah, and good morning to our 2 very learned, intelligent, very informative guests.
Good morning, Lord Graham.
Good morning,
yeah.
Lord Graham.
First, I would like to say congratulations to my good friend, Mr. Kirk Walton, who has been designated as the new Commissioner of Police. I think we might be going in the right direction. Not might, we are going in the right direction there. The dialogue this morning, it's a repeated dialogue between you, Mr. Orrett, Dr. Macfield, and my good friend Teresa. I think the Honorable O'Connor Connolly is her dialogue is in the same direction. Lately, Honorable Kenneth Bryan and I did hear the Honorable Wayne Seymour also talking the talk. But it's repeatedly talked about on your show, OC, by the same people. 3 of you, and every now and again I will display my concerns on the radio. But I'm wondering if this dialogue will have an effect, or will it go anywhere beyond the talk show? The other elected members or official people that can make this happen, will this have an effect, or we just talk about it?
Well, I think we continue to talk about it until someone listens or someone reacts. You got to, just have to keep repeating.
But as you know, because it's a small group of people who's talking about it, they'll deem us as troublemakers. You know how that goes.
Yes, well, yes, I'm used to that. Part of the things that propelled me to talk about things like this.
Mm-hmm. And we see on social media too, a lot of people are prepared to get on there and talk about it. And maybe we've seen now where there's a committee of the whole House that will be meeting to deal with the whole issue of is it the pensions one or is it the other one in relation to interest rates and stuff? Whatever. Why don't we have a committee of the whole House established to deal with the whole issue of Caymanian status and get the feeling of the Caymanian people, hear from them in terms of whether or not they feel threatened by this vast expansion of the population of the Cayman Islands.
And consumer protection as
Yes.
well.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Okay, I'll see you. I'll go now so someone else can get on.
Thank you very much, Lord Graham. Let's grab the next caller. Caller, good morning. Welcome to For the Record.
Good morning.
Good morning, sir. How are you?
Excellent. In 2017, on my campaign for the Georgetown West, I advocated that we should implement a formula that would deal with the issue of immigration and the issuance of status.
Mm-hmm.
And in simple terms, it was that we should look at whatever the previous year's net change in the population is, meaning net change in the local population, and any status that would be allowed to be issued in the following year would be a percentage. I'm just using a fictitious figure, say 10% of the net change in the previous year's population of Caymanians. That way, you would have a very rational, predictable, understandable way in which the criteria by which
got you
control the numbers. If I was in office, I would have been agitating for that so much that they wouldn't be able to just ignore it. Okay?
Do you think that a quota could achieve similar objectives or results?
Because the argument that is going to be is if you start putting that in, they're going to say that there's a problem with that. And what we're talking about is managing growth as it goes along. We're saying that it needs to be sustainable in the sense that the people who are granted status would not outpace growth in the natural population.
Got you. Okay.
And so I wouldn't approach it in another way, because that brings up all sorts of legal challenges and stuff that is hard to defend because of who sets the rules where. But it's very rational to say, for example, look at the UK. Last year they had 606,000 immigrants, I think it was. I think that came out to somewhere around 1% of their population. And the Prime Minister in the UK said that that's too much. The number needs to come down.
Yeah, thank you.
So that's not very difficult to understand. That's a rational thought. Yeah. So that's my view.
Thank you very much. Paul, we're going to try to squeeze one more in before the break. Caller, good morning. Welcome to For the Record. Good morning, caller.
Hello?
Good morning. Welcome to For the Record.
Good morning. Am I on?
Yes, you are, Billy.
Okay, yeah. I thought I was the fourth, so I think the other one quit. Okay, very quickly. Good morning, OC, Dr. Steve, and Ms. T.
Yeah, she stepped out for a minute.
Oh, she stepped away for a minute. Okay. Now, I'm always interested in this because it's not just because I've developed these close social ties with many Caymanians, but also my professional fortunes are better tied with them than anybody else. As much as I got good relations with other people who came to Cayman, although some of my problems was because of that. But so that's why I'm interested in this. Look, this issue about 8,000 growth per year, I mean, that is alarming, okay? A few years ago, we were talking about, well, but you see, we may get to 100,000, in a few years. No. It has gone much faster. It has building up more like compound interest in a bank, okay? You see, 8,000 growth per year comes to about 10 to 11% growth in population. I don't know any country which grows by that much.
Yes.
Yeah, it's enormous.
Yeah, if you apply that to the United States, I imagine they are somewhere around 350,000 or close to there. It would mean they would have to take in about 35 million people every year. Even they don't take that. I mean, they are having a problem now with a few thousand people coming in every month, you know. So that is alarming. And clearly that's a trend because apparently that's what has happened over 2 years. Now, there is an issue of how do you deal with it. Legally, it should not be a problem. OC, you already covered it earlier when you said, look, the local government has the power to legislate immigration. So this issue about there was a case, and by the way, thank you OC for making me aware of that case relating to the moratorium. I read it. The only problem there was simply that because it was being done administratively on the side of the government, that's why there was a problem. So if you did it legislatively in accordance with the power that's already there to say we are not going to grant status for so long legislatively, or the way the other person suggested to say, well, let us have it done, but done rationally in a way which ensures that the local population is not being outstripped, you know, by the incoming population. That will be fine. There will be no legal problem regarding that. That's why, in my view, I was a little bit disappointed. I don't want to be hard on the Premier. I was a little bit disappointed when he said, well, we need to talk about this some more. No. I came to Cayman in 2003. People had been talking about it 20 years before now.
Oh, definitely. Yeah.
What you need to do is to set the policy like that previous caller who formerly stood in an election. This is going to be our aim, and I like that system because he is not necessarily saying that the population should not grow, but that it should not grow to outstrip what is local. So it may still grow locally, but you are keeping what you really want, which is your identity. I think the Premier should just make the policy and get the technical people to do it. I think it has been discussed. It is time to act. Otherwise, in my view, it's already too late. But I think at least it should be done now rather than later. I thank you very much for your time.
Thank you very much, Billy. We're going to a commercial break. We still have callers on hold. We will take those callers as soon as we return. So please stay tuned. For the record, we'll be back shortly.
Have you been chosen to participate in the STEPS 2023 National Health Survey? Remember, if you have been chosen to participate, we cannot replace you with someone else. The survey is random and limited to 3,300 individuals across all 3 islands. Your participation is essential to the success of this important endeavor and will help shape Cayman's health services for years to come. Learn more by logging on to www.gov.ky/steps.
What's that? No sugar, same amazing taste? Coca-Cola Zero Sugar is here to stay. Classic taste, pure satisfaction. Be sure to stop into any Tortuga location and get your own case of Coke Zero. Or grab an ice cold one straight from the cooler. Brought to you by Tortuga Distributors Limited. Coca-Cola, taste the feeling, Cayman.
At Doctors Hospital, we know life happens, and usually when you least expect it. So when unexpected medical issues arise, you need quality care close to home. Located in the heart of Georgetown, our accomplished team of physicians and medical staff treat minor urgent conditions such as migraines, chest and abdominal pain, shortness of breath, burns, broken bones, open wounds, and more. 24 hours, 7 days a week with no appointment necessary. Peace of mind is important when life happens. At Doctors Hospital, we're always here just for you. Need to speak to someone? Call 949-6066.
You know, as a little girl, I dreamt of traveling to faraway places and foreign lands. I tell you what though, no more dreaming. This summer, I'm going flying with Cayman Airways. How blessed are we in the Cayman Islands to have a very own national airline? Girl, you can fly to so many international destinations without the hassle of connecting flights. On top of Jamaica, Cuba, and Honduras, you got non-stop flights from Cayman to New York, Miami, Tampa, and even Denver, Los Angeles, and now Panama. Going to be a little cafe con leche and Hollywood Squares for this old gal this summer.
Make your travel dreams come true with Cayman Airways, offering non-stop flights for non-stop adventures in Panama, LA, and many more places in between. For details and to book, call 949-2311, contact a travel agent, or visit CaymanAirways.com.
Your dream home starts with a vision, and often inspiration is at the heart of that vision. Brand Source Home Gallery's in-house designers are here to help bring your vision to life. Whether you are remodeling or building a new home, Brand Source Home Gallery is your one-stop solution. Explore their kitchen cabinets, sinks, faucets, bath fixtures, tubs, vanities, and more. Let Brand Source's designers help and inspire you with your next project. Call 623-5000 and schedule an appointment with a design expert at Brand Source Home Gallery, Dorsey Drive, Industrial Park, serving Cayman for 50 years.
For the record, with Orrett Connor.
Initiating system.
For information that matters. For the record, with Orrett Connor. Continues right now on Radio Cayman.
Good morning. Welcome back to For the Record. Before we grab the next call, I just want to say thank you for the previous caller, Mr. Bliss Samamba. In our discussions about conflict of interest, he did some research and provided me with a document here that deals with conflict of interest provisions in legislation, and he has shared with me 18 pieces of local legislation, Cayman Islands legislation, which address the whole issue of conflict of interest. And I want to thank Billy for that as well. And at some point in time, I will be able to share this with my listening and my viewing audience as well. And with his permission, once I obtain his permission, I can circulate it to others as well. Let's grab the next caller. Caller, good morning. Welcome to For the Record.
Good morning, Orrett. Good morning, Dr. Steve.
Good morning. How are you doing, my friend?
Pleasant Friday. It's a beautiful Friday in the gym of the Caribbean. I think Miss Teresa is probably still out.
Yes.
Okay. Dr. Steve, the recent meetings, I want to show you how actually complacent we are in this country and why nothing is going to ever get done because we are too complacent, we are too passive. The recent Boundaries Commission meetings that you had over the districts, would you be so good to remind us again the different locations and how many people attended each of those?
We went to all of the districts. I'm happy to say that we had the best turnout in West Bay.
Okay.
That but it's my grandfather always say that your best is not good enough. But that was not even good enough.
You see, it reminds me in Cuba, where I was born, but my ancestors were born here. But where I was born, in Cuba, if you want to have a gathering of more than 15 people, you got to get a license. And that's done because he wants to control your every movement. Here in the Cayman Islands, we take things for such granted. We don't have no such restrictions. And then we sit and complain when things are done that we don't like, but we haven't gone to no meetings. It just shows that we are really are actually operating on autopilot. The Vision 2008, for example, we really should have had that. We really need a Vision 2023 and beyond. Right now, we need a national development plan that will answer all these questions about the previous callers about population growth and everything else.
Yeah, and then Georgetown we had one or two, and Savannah we had about 6 or 7, and Bonttown and in East End we had 4, I think was, and then we had 3, and in North Side I think we had 4 people, and in the Brac we had just a few people too.
Yeah.
We had just people. But people are not interested in things like that anymore. People are interested in now how they are going to pay their light bill, how they're going to buy the high cost of milk and stuff, and the gasoline for their cars, and how they're going to actually survive from day to day. That's what they
without a national development plan in this country that has all the people, especially indigenous Caymanians, total buy-in. we eventually going to get to a station, and in the medium term, that we're going to have some semblance of actual social unrest in this country, because we are growing at an astronomical rate, and it's unchecked. We have no idea of where we're going and how we're going to, and when we get to that location, what sort of condition we're going to be.
Well, we don't know where we want to get.
But Mr. Ebanks, let me just tell you this. The most profound anti-Caymanian provision in a law is the minimum wage.
Yes.
Here we are paying people in this society $6 per an hour. And that attracts people from poor people from all over the world to come here.
Right.
And that's a problem that we have. That's a very profound problem that we have. Well, all we were doing, creating it initially and eventually creating a class of poverty that they will all those people eventually, eventually when their day is up, working days is up, they're going to have to rely on the government to be able to survive.
Caller, I'm going to ask you to leave us there. We're going to try to grab another caller. Thank you very much for your contribution. Next caller, good morning. Welcome to For the Record. Good morning, caller.
Good morning.
Good morning.
Good morning, Mr. Connor. Good morning, Dr. Steve.
Good morning.
And I believe you said that Miss T is out of the room.
Yes.
Please forgive me if these points were covered already, because I did tune in a little bit late. But I have 2 points I'd like to put out there. I believe you started out discussing immigration. Our immigration laws definitely need to be changed. I think talking about it is long past due, and they just need to change. This marrying of the Caymanian, and then overnight they have PR, and then they have Cayman status. That is a detriment to our country and to our people. In Germany, a country as big as Germany, you cannot be a German citizen unless you have German blood. And Germany could consume us 1 million times over, and they wouldn't even miss that land. And then the other thing is non-Caymanians being able to buy property here. That too needs to change. I mean, you've got countries like Switzerland that you could live there forever, but you have to pay rent, because if you're not a Swiss citizen, you could never buy property there. So somewhere as small as Cayman, why are we not looking at these things and trying to change them to help us, the Caymanians, and to preserve our little 2x4 patch of land? These are the laws that need to be addressed first. And I think they could have a trickle-down effect, like what Dr. Steve just said about, I'm going to say and call it what it is, attracting an importation of poverty. It has already affected our social being. People are afraid. We are afraid. Crime is on the rise. Cayman is not the way it used to be. And this was not introduced by Caymanians. It has been introduced by the importation of poverty. So I would love to hear your comments on that, if you would.
Thank you.
That's my 2 cents worth for the morning.
Thank you. Thank you very much, caller, for that. And when we do respond to that one, to that caller, I should say, this person also says, wanted to ask Dr. Steve what he thought about the West Bay meeting, suggesting that property owners ownership not be a condition for PR points or for Caymanian status as well. Paul, we want to squeeze one more caller in, or do we want to go to the break? We're going to squeeze one more caller. I'm made to understand we have 3 callers. We're going to take this caller now, and we will have 2 final callers when we return from the commercial break. Caller, good morning. Welcome to For the Record.
Good morning, OC. Good morning to your panel, Teresa, Dr. Steve.
Good morning.
This is Richard Bernard.
Mm-hmm.
I don't call in often anymore because it seems your words go on deaf ears. However, I think your conversation this morning is very vitally important. I just want to go back and say that I was a candidate back in 2001, and 2021, sorry. What I found appalling was lots of persons that were giving permanent residence no longer live in Cayman. Permanent residence means you're living here. So if you're no longer living here, that permanent residence should be revoked. I just want your opinion on that. Secondly, we have allowed, or our immigration has allowed, lots of new businesses to come and set up shop in this country, knowing fully well you do not have the personnel here for those businesses. And we can see the evidence of that now on the streets in the mornings. Traffic is a nightmare. I live near the Triple C area. And folks, I can tell you in the mornings, which would normally take me 5 minutes from my house to get to Georgetown, it is now taking me upwards of 45 minutes. I mean, we talk about development, yes, but I will equate that to a development of a child. If you're going to allow a child to eat like gluttony, then he or she is going to become obese. But this is what's happening here. We are allowing runaway development.
Mm-hmm. Obese and unhealthiness comes with that as well. Unhealthy, yeah. Caller, I want to thank you. Thank you very much for that. We're going to take our last commercial break. We still have, how many callers left? One caller, 2 callers still on hold. Please stay tuned for the record. We'll be back shortly.
Did you know that you can send money transfers to financial institutions anywhere in Jamaica with JN Money?
You mean I can send money straight to my account and cut out the middleman?
Yes, that's exactly what I mean. You send your own money to your own account, giving you peace of mind that the money is in your account.
JN Money Transfers to Financial Institution is another convenient service offered by JN Money. You can have this done from any JN Money location. Deposit your money straight to your account without the hassle of asking someone to do it for you. JN Money Transfers to Financial Institutions, making life easier.
West Bay Pharmacy. Personalized medicine, customized care to meet your specific needs. Your body is unique to you. Your medicine should be too. Whether you're seeking individual specific medication, correct size dosages, or simply better tasting medicine, ask your pharmacist or healthcare provider about how compounding at West Bay Pharmacy can increase your treatment options, not only for your family, but for your pets too. West Bay Pharmacy, open Monday through Saturday, 9 a.m. to 8 p.m., Sundays and most holidays from 11 a.m. to 6 p.m.
Prevention is key. Is your heart at risk? During the month of June, Baptist Health International is offering special pricing for cardiac CT scan for calcium scoring for just 99 CI to patients at high risk for heart disease, the leading cause of deaths worldwide. You are a candidate if you are 40 to 65 years old and have any of the following risk factors: obesity, current or recent smoker, family history of heart disease, high cholesterol, high blood pressure, or diabetes. To request an appointment or for more information, call 749-3304 or visit baptisthealth.ky. You know, as a little girl, I dreamt of traveling to faraway places and foreign lands. I tell you what though, no more dreaming. This summer, I going flying with Cayman Airways. How blessed are we in the Cayman Islands to have a very own national airline? Girl, you can fly to so many international destinations without the hassle of connecting flights. On top of Jamaica, Cuba, and Honduras, you got non-stop flights from Cayman to New York, Miami, Tampa, and even Denver, Los Angeles, and now Panama. Going to be a little cafe con leche and Hollywood Squares for this old girl this summer.
Make your travel dreams come true with Cayman Airways, offering non-stop flights for non-stop adventures in Panama, LA, and many more places in between. For details and to book, call 949-2311, contact a travel agent, or visit CaymanAirways.com.
This Father's Day, celebrate the hero in your life with the perfect gift from Reflections Clothing Store. Sales, sales, sales. Save 10 to 75% off brands like Dockers, Levi's, US Polo, Nike, Reebok, Puma, Adidas, Nautica, and more. From timeless classics to modern trends and athletic wear, Reflections has the perfect fit for dad. Save even more with our clearance baskets. Everything priced $10 or less. Don't miss the chance to save big while making dad look his best. West. Celebrate that in style and save 10 to 75% off on Dockers, Levi's, US Polo, Nike, Reebok, Puma, Adidas, Nautica, and more. Only at Reflections Clothing Store, Shedden Road, beside Mango Tree, and across from Kirk Napa. Open Monday through Thursday, 9 a.m. till 8 p.m. Friday and Saturday, 9 till 9. Beach and Reggae Sundays on Breeze 105.3 FM from 2 p.m. to 6 p.m. Brought to you by Healthcare Pharmacy, where they care about your health. 2 locations, Governor Square and Grand Harbor. Governor Square open Monday to Saturday, 9 a.m. to 6 p.m. Grand Harbor open Monday to Saturday, 8 a.m. to 10 p.m. and open on Sundays, 10 a.m. to 6 p.m. Call 947-8900 or visit healthcarepharmacy.ky.
For the record, with Orrett Connor.
Initiating system.
For information that matters. For the record, with Orrett Connor. Continues right now on Radio Cayman.
Good morning. Welcome back to For the Record. We have about 10 minutes left in the show. We still have 2 callers. They've been waiting for quite a while, so we want to accommodate them now, but want to also remind them that we have a very, very short period of time left. First caller, good morning. Welcome to For the Record. Good morning, caller. Welcome to For the Record.
Hello, good morning.
Good morning.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, hi.
You want to turn your radio down, please? We're hearing feedback in the background.
Okay. Hold on a minute, please. Hello?
Yes, go right ahead, sir.
Yes, sir. I'm going to say a few things, and then Miss Teresa and Dr. Steve will answer back on it. Okay. We need to put a stop to the work permit for everyone. No rich, no poor man. And no one coming in here until when they get the system overhauled completely and putting a stop to this point system, because obviously, the rich people can afford it. Okay? Not a point. Or you just jot down what I say, and then you can answer back after I finish. The other point was, whenever the government did what he did with the same-sex marriage, why is it that the Attorney General or the Department of Public Prosecution or the government never take a step to appeal whenever the government did whatever his nuclear auction? I don't think that nuclear auction was needed at that point in time because it was in no dire threat to the country. Just a few minority wants to have their way. This came about because the English people were on their way coming here, and they wanted to make sure they streamline up. Another point, Mr. Risa said about voting for the right leadership in the country. Until when we educated, Caymanians are not educated when it comes to politics, policies, and civics. Until when we get back to the general population. When I say the general population, I mean the common man on the street, because we got to bear in mind that we got paper Caymanians that consider themselves Caymanians and will have a say when it comes to whatever happens in our country, because either I vote or don't vote for any party, the same government they're in control everybody. All right? The next point with from Mr. Walton being voted as chief of police. I'm kind of proud there are next Caymanians in the hot seat. I hope to God before he actually finishes his job in trying to get crime under control, that the government give him the support, which they always been throwing money in. They will really try to get to the root cause of what's really happening in this country. You understand? Need it be the poverty and the important. First of all, let's go back to our borders. Until when you get our borders completely, and I mean the sea part of it, because we already got the air taken care of whenever they're coming into our airports. We need to go back to the sea. They don't have a proper control over the sea, and that's where these criminals, see the other day that incident that was talking about the criminal, send somebody here to hide up after complete a killing. Them things are supposed to happen. That's my point.
Thank you.
I really need to hear your input on that.
Thank you very much, caller. Let's grab the last caller. Caller, good morning. Welcome to For the Record.
Good morning, O.C.
Good morning.
Robert Borden here. And listen, O.C., all of your panel made some good points, and some of your callers also made some good points. But one of the things that's lacking in Cayman, and Dr. Steve Macfield, myself, tried to do that through the cadet code and whatnot, and that is to try to build up in the Caymanian people a personal ambition to get something for themselves. One of the problems out there that people don't want to hire Cayman because it's not dependable. You know, just a couple of days ago, I was in the office there, and a certain person called my son, giving some information and hiring somebody from overseas. And he had a secretary inside, and she said that just before before he called her, his secretary said, "Well, Sir, I enjoy working here, but
caller, we don't have a whole lot of time.
No,
so,
I'll tell you that. That simply is the Caymanian people's at fault are not being assertive and taking a job. The personal ambition. Don't feel that the politician got to love you and all that. You got to love yourself to train yourself properly and get a job.
Okay.
And stick on the job. That's my point I want to make across.
Okay.
Don't blame politicians. Blame yourself if you're not getting enough money.
Okay.
Blame yourself.
Thank you. Thank you very much, caller. Okay, folks, I'm going to summarize. One of our callers spoke about the necessary changes to the immigration law, also about property ownership. Another caller wanted us to put a hold on everything, freeze everything, no work permits until we get this thing sorted out. Question why the decision of the governor in the civil partnership legislation, why that wasn't challenged. And Ms. Teresa, he commented about the comment that you made about voting for the right person. And then the last caller, that same caller also was seeking government support for our new commissioner of police, or the commissioner of police designate, when he takes up his substantive role, that government gives support for him as well.
Well, number one, usually people don't challenge their boss. The governor's their boss. The governor's their employer.
Yeah.
So usually people are not going to go and do that. And they're not going to do that on behalf of the people. Because like I said...
And they would have to challenge his ability to do it, and it's in the Constitution.
Yeah, in the Constitution. And secondly, there is discussions. I can tell you there is some serious discussions about some changes into the point system, which includes ownership of property too.
Yeah.
And we are taking that into account. And when we finish our report and send it into the government, and the government chooses to make it published, they'll see the changes that we are going to recommend that has to be made, and that the government has asked us to look after. What was the other point? About
voting for the right person. Mr. You can answer
about work permits.
Stopping the work permits.
You can't stop work permits.
That's impractical.
That's impractical to stop work permits. You can always need workers in the country. But what you need to do, you have to make it at least attractive for Caymanians to go to work.
Yes.
And like I say, the most profound anti-Caymanian provision in a law is to pay them $6 an hour. You can't live on $6 an hour in Cayman. I don't care what you may be, if you came from some place in the Far East or some other third world country, but in Cayman you can't live on $6 an hour. That is impractical.
Misty?
Yeah. One of the comments that I was going to make was with respect to decisions that our leaders make, and the point that folks don't respect the Caymanian community. When you read the blogs coming out of discussions, for example, around leadership decisions and stuff in communications with leaders, and you read the blogs, there is a disrespect, and you can't blame them for having the level of disrespect and irreverence that they have with respect to some decision. You'll see people talk about what they heighten as important and should be a priority. When many Caymanians look at what leadership is trying to look at as priorities, they kind of shake their head in shame until you get, for example, some of the new representation, for example, with respect to pensions, with respect to looking at the interest rates. Those things actually affect the average person. So there's that, making sure that, leadership is paying attention. And the other thing with respect to education, we say that, and I have always felt that you need to have proper education when you want to stand up for leadership. And let me be clear, I'm not talking about having a degree, because people will go down that rabbit hole saying that this is what the conversation is about. But it's having leadership, one that cares, that understands the issues, and that is willing to make the kind of changes that the country needs. what I always say is that no one have a monopoly on knowledge. So if, for example, you're responsible for, say, immigration, and you feel you don't have the skills that is necessary to bring about the kind of policies and changes that you need, hire someone to do that. You know, we talk about the amount of, I think that when Steve and I were talking yesterday, he was talking about the number of outstanding applications and so on. So we know what happens when things just get pushed down the lane and just kicked down the lane from one leadership group to the next. What that does is creates a lacuna within the community, and this is why people are going to the courts and actually getting the kind of decisions that they're getting from the court.
Okay, that big word that you just used there, lacuna, explain to
Sorry, oops.
Avoid or...
that's avoid. Yeah. So stop it. I mean, honestly. But that's what I mean. And don't wait for persons to come out and say, I'm going to run and this is what I'm going to do. Go and find people that you believe in that's going to make the changes that you know is relevant for your community.
Yes.
You know, no, honestly.
Yeah, one person says, ask Dr. Steve, why don't you suggest to government that they put a moratorium on the grants of status and permanent residence?
That's all that is in the
recommendations.
In the recommendations too.
Yes, yeah. Okay.
And then be prepared for the fallout from certain law firms coming to bring. And that's the other thing. You all need your own lawyer. Steve.
Yeah, we need it. That's right. We need that too. That's what we'd be asking for too.
Yeah. Well, folks, I used the example this morning of Bermuda, British Virgin Islands, and Turks and Caicos Islands, plus us here in the Cayman Islands that are having challenges with our immigration legislation, and in particular, the granting of permanent residence and the granting of, in Cayman, it's called Caymanian status. In the BVI, it's called belongership. And I think it's also called belongership in Turks and Caicos, and in Bermudan status in Bermuda. We all have one thing in common. We were all colonized by the British. We are ruled, ruled by the British. We are under them at this point in time. We all have different histories. Dr. McFeel, you pointed out, Bermuda, completely different situation. The constitution that they have, it was a pre-independence constitution. When it comes to racial issues, out of the four that I have mentioned, Bermuda has the most, I don't think I should call it storied, but certainly the most contentious history when it comes to race relations. In the Cayman Islands, it was a little bit subtle, even though we have Caymanians today who would say, oh, we didn't have a race issue in the Cayman Islands. When you had people who, like the little Doc, you'll know what I'm talking about because I heard the stories through you and Miss Alverni. You light a little light skin lady down in from northward, and you from Scranton area, and you got to sneak down in Rockhole to meet up with her under a breadfruit tree or something like that because the parents would not consent to that. That is racism, because of the color of your skin. But my point is here with all of these overseas territories, while we have challenges in different areas, this one common thing about immigration, they all have no one to blame but themselves and their politicians. And their failure to act on it means that they create the situation. Unfortunately, here in the Cayman Islands, we did what we did to ourselves, and do not underestimate the impact that the grant of almost 2,500 status grants at one time, and as Doc always say, and don't forget the dependents that went along with it as well. If that doesn't have an impact, an immediate impact, then what do we look 20 years down the line? This took place in 2003. We are now in 2023. You see the impact that it is having now. So all of these suggestions that we have been receiving about, suggestions about doing this and doing that, our politicians are not listening. when it comes to property ownership, they don't want to touch that because they feel that other than maybe some legal obstacles, that they're going to be stepping on people's toes if they decide.
But if they don't know, we have the money to pay for expertise to answer these questions.
Yes.
You know, and there's no shame in saying that you don't know everything. You know.
Yeah. But the point is that all of these overseas territories, and the UK at the end of the day is going to say, folks, it is your problem. We devolve it to you. You got yourself into that mess. The only thing that we want is that those persons who have been residing here permanently for a long period of time, you want to give them the right to vote,
Same rights
and probably the right to run for offices as well. Folks, we've gone over the time, but I still want to give both of you an opportunity for some closing comments.
I'm just going to say, in many ways, Cayman is a victim of its success. Cayman is by far the richest community in the region with first world standard of living, but in reality, we only have had this experience in one generation, one fall swoop to get into this. Successive governments are speaking of population growth with a minimum of 100,000 people, but these numbers have consequences. Without some kind of population control, some type of considered plan that is inclusive of all views, it is inevitable that the expatriate population growth will continue to exceed the local population growth. There's an urgent need for a mechanism to generate income that is not as reliant on unbridled population growth, because we know this is unsustainable and land is finite.
Yep. Doc?
I would just like to say the foundation of this country was laid down by our forefathers through their blood, sweat, and tears, and their very lives. And as children of those people, have we not have any value in the way of teaching us to be resilient?
Okay, and I just want to say a happy Father's Day to all of those fathers out there, as well as those mothers who have to double up and serve as both mother and father because of absentee fathers for whatever reason, whether or not it is because of incarceration, whether or not it is simply because they were simply just sperm donors and nothing else. But to those women out there who have to double up as mother and father as well, happy Father's Day to you. We need to continue to respect our elders, respect your fathers, treat them like royalty, and while it is the King's birthday celebration coming up as well, celebrate your king through lineage, your fathers.
And your grandfathers.
Yes, as well.
But I'll also say, as George Lamin would talk about, my mother who fathered me.
Yes. So, folks, have a great weekend. Please stay safe. And as usual, we ask the good Lord to bless these three beautiful, wonderful Cayman Islands.
For the Record, proudly brought to you by
Coca-Cola. Available across the Cayman Islands from Tortuga Distributors. Accept no substitutes. Taste the feeling with Coca-Cola. Brand Source Home Gallery. Inspiring luxury. West Bay Pharmacy. Taking care of your health. And JN Money. From abroad to yard. Fast, affordable, convenient. Doctor's Hospital. Peace of mind is important when life happens. Doctor's Hospital. Always there for you. Call 949-6066. And by the Steps 2023 National Health Survey. Visit gov.ky/steps to learn more. And Cayman Airways. Call them on 949-2311 to book your nonstop flights to Los Angeles and